A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Kroger Tenderay Beef. No other beef so fresh can be so tender. Presents Heart in Harmony, transcribed. K is for Kroger. C is for cut. B is for beef. KCB means Kroger cut beef. And Kroger cut beef means more meat for your money. Remember that fact, ladies. Remember that Kroger cut beef gives you more meat, less waste. For this reason. Before the meat is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess bone, excess waste, and stringy ends. Yes, that's before the meat is weighed and priced. And listen, you get the top U.S. government grades of beef. Yes, sirree. It's tender, juicy, rich red, and marbled with just the right amount of flavory fat. So you get better value in top-grade beef. Let's take a Kroger cut chuck roast as an example. Before the roast is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess waste and stringy meat. You're bound to get a better value because you get more solid meat, only a minimum of bone. No matter which you prefer, steak or roast, you receive more meat, less waste in Kroger cut beef. But make that discovery for yourself. Visit your neighborhood Kroger store and get Kroger cut beef. It gives you more meat for your money. And now, Hearts in Harmony. When Freddy Lang first stepped into the Gibbs home, there was no hint that he would ever become one of the family. For Freddy upset the life of everyone he met. He didn't mean to, but he did. And knowing that he did, he's now trying hard to make up for his mistakes. Penny Gibbs is in the living room of her home when she hears the sound of hammering in the basement.
What in the world is that? Who's making all that noise down there?
Oh, hi, Gibbsy.
Freddie, what are you doing?
Why don't you come down and see?
No, what are you doing? Freddie, tearing the house apart.
No, I'm not, Gibbsy. I'm just trying to put something together again.
Well, what
all.
is it, Freddie?
Well, I'll admit it doesn't look like much right now, but it's going to be okay when I get through it.
No, it doesn't look as if it's... Freddie, where's the cabinet Mother keeps her canning jars in?
Well, there it is right there, Gibbsy, all over the floor.
All over the floor?
Yeah. Well, it was falling apart, so I just took it
Oh,
apart.
Freddie.
And now I'm putting it back together again with some improvements.
What was wrong with it?
Well, nothing much at all, Gibbsy. Just that one of the doors was falling off and the other door wouldn't open at all. And the shelf was split, and then the three boards in the back there, they were starting to rot away.
Oh, it was falling apart then, wasn't it?
Sagging like a leaf full of rainwater. I got some new lumber, though, to take the place of the stuff that I'm throwing away.
Oh, good, Freddie. I'll pay you for it. How much?
I got it for nothing.
How much do I owe you?
Nothing at all, Gibbsy. It's a sort of present for Mrs. B and for you, too. I suppose you're going to be doing some canning this year, huh?
I expect to, if we have any luck with the garden. But, Freddie, I can't let you spend money for anything like this.
Well, sure you can, Gibbsy. All you got to do is forget about
Freddie,
it.
will you listen to me a minute?
What'd you say?
I said let me pay you. You shouldn't be doing this.
I shouldn't be doing this, huh?
No.
Look, it's something I should be doing a whole lot of to make up for what I used to do a whole lot of.
I don't know what you mean.
Oh, yes, you do, Gibbsy. Now, look, you never owed anybody anything, so you don't know what it's like to have a debt bothering you.
You don't owe anybody anything.
Not much I don't. I owe you and Mrs. B and all the rest of you for a home and everything else that I got. Now, if I can't do a little something like fixing up a broken-down cabinet to sort of get even, well, I'm going to be in debt for the rest of my life. You know what I mean now, don't you?
Yes, Freddie, I know what you mean.
Okay. Go on, hand me that bag.
Yeah, wait a minute. Here you are.
Thanks. You know, Gibbsy, it's going to be the best-looking cabinet you ever saw when I get through with it. You know, you're going to want to take this out of the basement and put it right up in the living room.
Yeah, I have an idea we will.
Hello down there. What's going on?
Hello, Peg.
Who's making all that noise?
Freddie is. He's fixing the cabinet on here.
Hand me the saw, will you, Gibbsy?
Yeah, Freddy. Oh, yes, Peg, right away. Be careful with that saw, Freddy.
Oh, don't go worrying about me, Gibbsy. I know how to handle all kinds of
Well,
tools.
handle them carefully.
Just like a dame, always worrying. You know, a guy never get anything done if he worries like this, dame.
All right, I won't say any more. I just hope I won't have to say I told you so. Good morning, Peg. How are you?
I'm a little sleepy.
Oh, didn't you sleep well last night?
I think I slept too well.
Oh, that can make you drowsy all morning.
Oh, I'm a fine one. If I'm not sleepy because I didn't sleep, then I'm sleepy because I slept too well. Oh, Penny has a letter for you.
Thanks. Some coffee?
No, thanks. I've just had some.
No, let's go in. Peg, this is wonderful. It's a letter from Pat.
Pat? Who's he? An old flame who wouldn't die?
I know, my brother.
Oh, yes, of course. Little Valerie's father.
Mm-hmm. I haven't heard from him in weeks. Come on, let's go in the living room. I'd like to read it.
Oh, don't count me in, Penny.
No, I like to read letters out loud. It's almost as if you heard the person talking. I wonder if Pat's found Suzanne.
Oh, that's right. He's been looking for his wife for a long time, hasn't he?
Yeah, too long. We kind of thought it would take just a few weeks for him to find her, but it's 5 or 6 months now.
She really dropped out of sight, didn't she? Or does he say in the letter that he's found her?
Wait a minute, no. He says, there's Penny. No luck in finding Suzanne and no inclination to keep on looking for her.
Well, it certainly answers that. Why no inclination? Lost interest or found a new one?
Well, neither, apparently. He says, it's obvious I'm not going to find Suzanne by walking the streets or waiting for the police to find her. She's either hidden herself so well she'll never be found, or she's gone out of the country, probably back to France. Or maybe she's dead.
Cheerful thought.
You know, it's a terrible thing to say, but that might be the solution to Pat's problem. Suzanne's made nothing but trouble for Pat from the day they were married, but he loves her so much he'd take her back in an instant.
Isn't it funny, Penny? No two married people ever have the same amount of love for each other, do they?
I don't know.
You don't know marriage.
Not every marriage fails.
No, not that you know of. I wonder how many married couples who seem perfectly happy with one another really hate each other underneath.
A few, maybe.
You? I think it's the happy marriages, the really perfect ones that are few.
Oh, Peg, don't be bitter about marriage just because yours didn't work.
Well, mine did more than fail to work out. Mine left me with a homeless daughter and a fear of men I'll never get over as long as I live.
You will get over it, Peg. And someday, your daughter will have a home. A home that you and your husband will give to her.
I have a husband, Penny. Wherever he is and whatever he's doing, he's still my husband. Look what I have now. A room to sleep in, thanks to you, but that's all. I have a husband. This is what he's given me.
Next time it'll be different.
There's not going to be any next time, Penny.
Oh, doorbell. Excuse me.
Uh-huh.
Oh, just a minute. I'm coming.
Miss Penny Gibbs, I do believe.
Why, Mr. Barry Carlton, I do believe, but this is not a surprise.
Well, it shouldn't be. I'm not going to let one day go by without phoning you or ringing your doorbell. You remember that threat,
yes,
don't you?
I do, only too well. Come on in the living room. I'd like to meet someone.
Oh, you already have company, do you?
No, Peg isn't company. She's just staying here. Peg Martin, Barry Carlton. Barry Carlton?
How do you do?
Peg Martin.
Hello.
So you're a new member of the Gibbs family, are you, Miss Martin?
Oh, for only a little while, Mr. Carlton.
Yeah, better be for more than just a little while, though.
Well, we'll see.
Two lovely young women in one house is going to make this place more attractive than ever.
Well, thank you.
Next time I come calling, maybe I'd better bring a friend.
Oh, I have a daughter, Mr. Carlton. She's 5 years old.
Oh?
But don't look so shocked, Barry.
Shocked? But I am. Miss Martin doesn't look old enough to have a daughter even 1 year old.
Oh, that's an old one, Mr. Carlton. I thought certainly you'd do better than that.
Then I don't deserve the courtesy of being called Mr. Carlton. Call me Barry. Everyone else does.
And I'm called Peg, not Mother.
We're doing a little better now, aren't we? Listen, Penny, I just dropped by to find out about this evening.
Oh, Barry, I don't know yet. Call me this afternoon.
Well, that's more hopeful than the usual answer. I know this is rude, Peg, but Penny and I have a tentative engagement for this evening.
It's perfectly all right, Mr. Barry. I was unattached once myself. Maybe I am now, too, but I don't know it.
Huh?
Peg's husband disappeared several years ago, Barry. He hasn't been heard from since.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Peg.
Oh, don't be sorry about it, Barry. If you are, you have a lot to learn about a lot of things.
I hope I someday know even a fraction of what there is for me to learn. Look, I'll call about 3 this afternoon, Penny. Is that all right?
That'll be fine.
Well, goodbye. Good Glad to met you, Peg.
Nice meeting you, Barry.
See you again.
Perhaps.
Oh, Penny, look, you don't have to take me to the door.
No, sir. I came to the door to let you in. I'll take you to the door to let you out.
And the latter is what you prefer, isn't it?
I will answer that some other time.
Tonight, maybe?
If there is a tonight, goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
But he's handsome, Penny.
He has looks and money, but that's just not all.
Oh, isn't that enough?
Oh, it isn't enough for me.
Barry Carlton. I heard his name before.
Right here. I told you a little bit about him, how he got into trouble with gambling debts.
Oh, yes. You work for his mother, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I certainly do.
Hi, folks.
Oh, hello, Freddy.
Hi.
Freddie Lang, what's the matter with your hand?
Oh, yes, nothing at all. Just a little scratch.
Freddie, you come over here. A scratch doesn't bleed like that. Oh, Freddie, you've cut yourself.
Oh, Freddy, that's a nasty cut.
Well, Gibbsy, you would make me nervous about that sore. I got too careful, and now look what happened. I guess I better go upstairs.
You won't go upstairs. You come in the kitchen and let's wash it off. Peg, will you get the first aid kit out of the lavatory? It's in the wall cabinet over there. Come on, Freddie.
Okay. Go ahead. Say that you told me so. But honest, Gibbsy, the saw slipped. It could have happened to anybody.
Even a person who knows how to handle tools. Does it hurt?
No, it's all right.
Well, come on, let's put it under the water.
Okay.
Come on, all the way under the water. The saw wasn't rusty, was it?
No, it wasn't. Hey, Gibbsy, that hurts.
You want to sit down?
No, that's all right. It doesn't hurt that much. Ain't it clean yet?
Yeah, it seems to be. You want to have a look at it?
Oh, it isn't much of a cut, Gibbsy. It just looks bad.
Well, come on, let me have a look at it.
Here's the first aid
Oh,
kit, Penny.
thanks, Peg.
Here's a disinfectant. You might want that.
Yeah, thanks, dear.
Let's see. Freddy, is it a bad cut?
No, it's not so bad, Peg.
Oh, it looks awfully nasty.
Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a little bit of this on it. Now, it might burn. But you ready?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. There we go.
They burn. What'd you put on there? A 3-alarm fire?
It'll be all right in a minute.
Gosh, Gibbsy, that hurts.
Here.
Makes me busy.
Here, put your head down here.
No. I'll be all right, Peg. Hey, Gibbsy, what are you putting on there now? Huh?
Not a thing. I'm just making sure it's clean. Come on, turn it over now. That's it.
Easy.
Oh, I'm not going to do anything else. I think it's all clean now. Oh, now stop it. The burning stopped, hasn't it?
What?
Yes, it has. You
Penny,
know
let me
it.
run upstairs and maybe get some gauze.
No, one of these Band-Aids will do. That cut's kind of small. He's just carrying on.
All right, Freddy, don't be a baby. Here you are.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Peg.
Hey, look, Gibbsy, put that thing on so I can move the thumb around a little bit, will you? You know, I still got to go downstairs and finish up that
You're not going to do any more work today. Oh, come on. There we go. I think that'll hold it.
Thanks a lot, Gibbsy. Well, now I guess I better go downstairs and finish up what I...
Oh, Freddie, don't do that. You'll get dirt in the cut, and then it really will be serious.
I'm going to be careful, Gibbsy. The next time I mean careful. Thanks a lot for fixing up the cut.
Oh, you're very welcome. Oh, what can you do with a man like that, Peg?
With a man like that, not much. But with a man like Barry Carlton, you can do a lot.
Is Peg Martin encouraging Penny Gibbs to show an interest in Barry Carlton? Or is she herself interested in him? Be sure to listen to the next dramatic episode of Hearts in Harmony. KCB. KCB. KCB means Kroger Cut Beef. And Kroger Cut Beef means more meat for your money. Right. Kroger Cut Beef gives you more meat, less waste. Because before the meat is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess bone, excess waste, and stringy ends. Take a Kroger cut round steak or roast, for example. The Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess waste and stringy meat before the steak or roast is weighed and priced. You get a minimum of bone. Yes, you get choice cuts only, and it's top U.S. government grades of beef. Beef that's tender, juicy, rich red, and marbled with just the right amount of flavory fat. But visit your neighborhood Kroger store and see for yourself. Remember, whether you buy a steak or a roast, Kroger cut beef gives you more meat for your money. Ladies, make plans right this instant to visit your neighborhood Kroger store, the only place you can buy Kroger cut beef. Surprise and delight your family with a delicious, juicy steak or roast. Get Kroger cut beef and get more meat, less waste at your neighborhood Kroger store. Be sure to join us again tomorrow, same station, for another thrilling transcribed chapter of Hearts in Harmony. It's Kroger for better values in famous foods. Yes, the wonderful foods you see advertised in Life magazine are featured in your neighborhood Kroger store. Shop at Kroger for better values.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, first cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to juvenile division. You get a call from a high school principal. A young boy has caused a near riot in his classroom. Your job? Investigate. Here's what the nation's press has had to say about king-size Chesterfield.
U.S. Tobacco Journal says, Boston dealers and jobbers reported this new companion of the regular size is sweeping the market in sales, and stocks cannot be replaced fast enough.
The Wall Street Journal said, a wholesaler says the problem isn't selling them. It's getting enough to meet the demand.
Dealers all over the country tell us no product they ever handled has grown so fast in so short a time as king-size Chesterfields.
King-size cigarettes give you quantity, but only Chesterfield king-size gives you quantity plus quality, premium quality.
Chesterfield king-size contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king-size cigarette.
Of course, it's the same fine tobacco as in regular Chesterfield. In fact, the only difference between Chesterfield king-size and Chesterfield regular is that the king-size is larger, contains more of these same tobaccos, enough to give you a 21% longer smoke, yet costs very little more.
So remember, Chesterfield is the first to give you premium quality in both regular and king-size.
Buy 'em either way you like 'em. Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke. Much milder Chesterfield.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, October 3rd. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Juvenile Division. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Stein. My name's Freddy. It was 1:47 p.m. when we got to Adams High School. Chemistry class.
You the place?
Yes, sir. It's my partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
I'm John Lane. This is my class. What little there is left of it. Have you seen Mr. Barlow?
Yes, sir. We talked to him when we came in. I think he's in the clinic now. He said you could give us a story. Is that right?
It was the Lambert boy. He came into class about 5 minutes late.
Mm-hmm.
We were just starting the lecture on analysis. I told Douglas to take his seat. He said something I couldn't hear, but he went back to his place, and I went on with the lecture.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was about 10 minutes later that the commotion started. The first thing I knew about it, Larry McLean started to yell at Lambert, said something about keeping his mouth closed.
Mm-hmm.
Then Lambert said something about McLean minding his own business. I started off the platform to quiet things down. By the time I got to Douglas, he'd hit McLean. Well, after that, it's all a little confused. Flying apparatus, chemicals being thrown all over the place, glass breaking. The whole class seemed to explode.
Well, were the other members of the class fighting, or was it just the two boys?
It seemed like the whole class was fighting. At the time, it seemed like the whole school was in the room, all throwing things.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I got the Lambert boy aside, and then the fight seemed to stop. In the meantime, he'd thrown a bottle of sulfuric acid at McLean, burned his face and his chest. The ambulance took him to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, and a nurse here gave him first aid.
Well, do you have any idea what started the argument here?
No, I'm not sure. As I got it later, it seems that Douglas made some remark about a young girl working next to him. I didn't hear it, but I gathered that it was a pretty filthy statement. McLean heard it, and that's when he told Douglas to keep his mouth closed.
Mm-hmm. Lambert is known as a sort of troublemaker, then, is he?
Yes, and it's so hard to understand.
Sir?
Well, up until just lately, I'd say the last 2 months or so, he was a model student. He had a straight-A average.
I wonder if we could see the boy.
I guess so. There isn't anything much I can do here. Terrible. It'll be a couple of weeks before I can hold a class in here again. It's terrible.
Yes, sir.
The clinic's down here.
Have you any idea what might have caused this change in the Lambert boy?
Well, I have my own suspicions, but he's only 15. It's hard to believe.
What's that, sir?
When he came into class today, I think he was drunk.
Oh, why do you say that?
I noticed that when he came into the room, he wasn't very steady on his feet. It'd have to be something like that to make him do this. Then, too, when I grabbed him when they were fighting, I thought I smelled liquor on him. Oh, we go in here.
Fine.
Here's the boy. Douglas?
Yes, sir.
These men would like to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
They're from the police. Mr. Friday, and this is Mr. Smith.
Hello?
How are you? Sit down, son.
Yes, sir.
How's Larry?
I don't know. They took him to the hospital.
If you don't mind, Mr. Friday, I'll check with the nurse, see how badly Larry was hurt.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead. Now, son, you want to tell us what this is all about?
There's not much to tell. Larry and me got in a fight.
Mm-hmm. Well, what started the fight, son?
I don't know. He just wanted to cause trouble. Him and me never have gotten along. Always had trouble.
You been drinking, Doug?
Why do you ask that?
Because I want to know. Have you been drinking? How about it, boy?
No. Where would I get something to drink?
Well, now, something's a little wrong here, son. According to what Mr. Lane tells us. Looks like you might have been drunk when the fight started. He tells us that you said something to a young girl in the class. That's what started the whole thing.
You know he's lying?
Is he?
Sure. He's on Larry's side. The two of them are real thick.
That's not what he told us, Doug. From what he said, he's pretty fond of you. Said he couldn't figure out what happened to you lately.
Well, he's okay, but why does he say I was loaded? That's a stupid thing to say.
Yeah, especially if you weren't. I'll tell you what, Doug. Let's get a traffic investigation car over here and take a toxometer test, huh, just to be sure.
Why? What'll that prove?
We'll straighten it out once and for all, whether you're drunk or not. How about it, boy? Shall I call the car? Doug?
No, you don't have to do that. I had a couple of drinks. Nothing serious, though. Just a couple of drinks. Nothing wrong with that, is there?
Where'd you get the liquor, son?
I don't remember.
No, this won't work, boy. We'll find out. You know that.
Well, I don't see what difference it's going to make where I got it. I've been drinking a couple of years. I know how to handle it. I know what I'm doing.
Mr. Friday?
Yes, sir?
See you a minute.
Well, sure.
What's going on? Something wrong with Larry?
I don't know, son.
I thought he was okay when they took him to the hospital. The nurse said she took care of it. They said he was going to be okay.
All right, boy. Let's go.
Where are you taking me?
We want to talk to you downtown.
Something has gone wrong, hasn't it? Something's wrong with Larry. He's dead.
No, son. Larry's all right. He's burned, but he's going to be all right.
You're lying. I know. You want to take me to jail.
No, that's not true, son. We just want to find out where you got the liquor.
Yeah. Well, I haven't done anything. A couple of drinks, that's all. What's the harm in that?
Come on, son. You've got a lot to explain.
Okay, take me in. Put me in jail. I don't care what happens.
Yeah, you've already proved that. 2:26 p.m. Frank and I talked to Charles Barlow, the vice principal of the school. He told us the same story that we'd gotten from John Lane. He said that until a few months before, Douglas Lambert had been a model student. He was above average in his classwork and took part in all school activities. Suddenly, and without apparent reason, he had become the #1 troublemaker in his class. His attendance record became one of the worst, and his attitude toward his teachers was arrogant and discourteous. The principal told us the same attitude was being displayed by other students in the school. We notified Mrs. Lambert that we were taking him to Georgia Street Juvenile for questioning. We filled in Captain Stein on the developments, and then Frank and I questioned the Lambert boy. He was sullen and uncooperative.
I don't know what you want with me. A little fight, that's all it was. Why are you guys trying to make something big out of it?
You've already done that, Doug. Maybe you don't know what you've really done. Maybe we ought to fill you in on a few things.
That might not be such a bad idea. Tell me how I'm a criminal. Tell me I was a bad boy. Go ahead, tell me.
Don't get smart, son.
What do you want me to do? Sit here and listen to you guys yak at me? You expect me just to sit here and let you guys tie a rap on me that I haven't got coming? You got one thing on me. I had a couple of drinks, that's all. A couple of drinks. No harm in that. I don't feel so good. Why don't you guys leave me alone? I got a headache.
Larry McLean's got more than a headache.
So the kid shouldn't have started anything he couldn't finish. He wanted to be a big man in front of the class. He was. Now he's hurt and he's trying to blame me. It won't work, Cop, and you know it.
That's enough of that.
I'm a minor. You can't touch me.
That's the trouble with you, kid. You think because you're under 18, the laws don't mean you.
You can't touch me and you know it.
Don't worry, Doug. Nobody's going to touch you, but let me tell you a couple of things. You sit here and figure you're a big man, a real tough kid.
You don't have to tell me.
Well, I'm going to tell you. I'm getting sick and tired of having kids like you waltz around the streets, your minds and hands filthy, bragging about what big men you are. You do what you want. You don't care about what it means to the people around you. How you hurt them doesn't matter. Everything's fine until you do something wrong and we nail you. Right away you start screaming minor, that you're a juvenile, just a kid acting normal. You steal a car for a joyride. An officer starts after you. You don't care who gets in front of the car as long as you get away. You don't let anybody stand in your way. Men, women, kids, they're all the same to you. Run them down. Show them that you're just a healthy kid out for some fun. After all, you're just a kid. The laws weren't meant for you. You're different. Well, there's another kid lying in the hospital right now. He's got real trouble. He got in your way. He didn't feel that you had any special rights. Be a big man, Doug. You go tell him that you knew what you were doing when you threw that acid at him. You tell him that you were just having a little carefree fun. Tell him that you know how to handle liquor. Tell him that he's going to spend a long time with a plastic surgeon because you're just a kid. You tell him that his face is going to be like that because you're just a normal, healthy, growing boy. I hope you're real proud of yourself. I hope you feel good. You've burned it right into your brain. There isn't any place you can go to get away from it. All right, boy, let's go.
Wait a minute, Mr. Friday.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I acted like that.
All right, you want to try to make things right with Larry? You want to help us out on this thing?
Yeah, I guess so. Where do I start?
Where'd you get the liquor?
A place near school. Kids call it Sam's Club.
What's the address?
I don't know. I'll show you the place.
You say it's a club?
Well, sort of. You have to know the ropes before you can get in the place.
What do you mean, the ropes?
Well, they only let kids in. You ring the bell to the house, and then when they answer, you stand there with a $5 bill in your hand. Mm-hmm. That way they know you're okay.
Who is this Sam?
I don't know his last name. The kids just call him Sam.
He run this place all by himself?
No, there's his wife, Inez. She's usually around.
Just these two around the place, then, huh?
Yeah, that's all I know about. It always seemed to me that Inez was really the brain. She was always telling Sam what to do.
How'd you find out about this place, Doug?
One of the kids at school told me about it. He took me there one night. Then after he introduced me to Sam and Inez, I started to go there by myself.
What's it like inside? They have a bar or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. You walk into the living room, and there's a big bar along the right wall. All chrome and leopard skin. Real nice. There's a few tables around and a record player.
Yeah. They sell anything else in this place besides liquor?
I don't think I know what you mean.
You know what we mean, Doug.
Yeah, I guess I do.
Well, how about it?
Well, yeah, you can buy tea if you want it.
This $5 routine, what happens to it?
Well, drinks are 6 bits apiece. Sticks are $1.50. If you want to give them the 5 as you come in, you can have as much as you want. Otherwise, you pay for each thing as you get it.
You ever smoke marijuana?
Well, almost all the kids there do.
How about you?
If you don't, the other kids call you a coward.
Well, you still haven't answered the question.
Yeah, I've smoked it a couple of times.
Can you give us the names of the other youngsters who go to this place?
Well, wait a minute. I'll help all I can, but I'm not going to be a squealer.
I don't think it's squealing, Doug.
Yeah, well, you don't have to give the names.
Why not look at it this way, boy? You got trouble because of this Sam and Inez. Now, the same thing could happen to one of the other kids that go to this place. You want that to happen?
No,
Well, the best way to see that it doesn't is to tell us all you know about the place. Isn't that right?
I guess so. I'll give you the names.
Do they allow girls in this place, too?
Yeah, as long as you know the $5 bill gimmick, anybody can get in.
They allow adults?
No, if they figure you're over 18, they won't let you in. Especially at the Saturday night parties.
What kind are those?
Every Saturday night, Sam and Inez throw a party. For $5, you get all you want to drink and smoke. Sam told me once it's a good business. Makes for better customer relations.
You ever see any other narcotics on the premises?
I've never actually seen any myself. I've heard that if Sam or Inez know you real well, you can get a pop of heroin. But like I said, I've never seen it myself. Most of the kids that I know, the ones from school, just go there for drinks.
Anything else you think we ought to know?
No, nothing that I can think of.
How about these two? Either of them drive a car?
Yeah, Sam has a little Nash Rambler, dark green. Once in a while, when we stay over at lunchtime or when we're late getting home, he drives us home or back to school.
All right, Doug. Your mother ought to be here by now. If we need your help in getting Sam and Inez, we can count on it, huh?
Yeah, I'll help all I can.
Okay, son. Let's go.
Say, Sergeant.
Yeah?
I'm sure sorry about the way I acted. Really made a fool of myself. I hope you'll forgive me.
That's all right.
But you'd think there'd be an easier way, wouldn't you?
What's that, son?
To grow up.
We checked the names Sam and Inez through R&I and came up with a Sam and Inez Bailey. Both of them had long records for contributing to the delinquency of minors. Both had served time in the county jail. Douglas Lambert was shown mugshots of the couple and identified them as the owners and operators of Sam's Club. We checked with Captain Stein about picking them up, and it was agreed that the best way would be to catch them in the act of selling liquor and narcotics to juveniles. We talked to the Lambert boy, and he told us that it was the custom of the Baileys to hold a party every Saturday night. He told us that most of the youngsters who frequented the place would be there at that time. He put in a call to the house, but there was no answer. 6:15 p.m. Frank and I drove out to the place. It was a small cottage on the back of the lot. The landlord occupied the house in front. We rang the bell to the manager's house.
Yeah?
Mr. Halsey?
Yeah?
Police officer, sir. My name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do?
Honest, Halsey.
Want to come in?
Well, it might be better, sir. We'd like to talk to you about the Baileys.
Worst tenants I ever had. I knew they'd end up with the police.
Why do you say that, sir?
Well, I just do, that's all. They got a lease on the house, and if I could figure a way to get them out, I sure would. They're always causing trouble. All those kids.
Yes, sir. Do you have any idea where they are now?
Why, you going to arrest them? I hope so. Maybe I can break the lease that way.
You know where they might be now, sir?
No, I don't know. I shoved off this afternoon. They didn't say where they was going. They just left.
I wonder if you could let us see their house, sir.
Why?
Well, we'd like to look it over. Sorry.
Well, I don't know. What do you want them for?
We think they're selling liquor to minors.
Yes, they do a thing like that. The noise they made, the neighbors on both sides have been screaming.
Can you let us into their house?
You just bet I can. Wait, I'll get the key. Here's someplace. But, put in one of those little key rings. You know the kind with the rabbit's foot?
Yes, sir.
Sorry to keep your officers waiting. I know I'm always away. If you want something, you can always lay your hand right on it. And then when you're looking for it... Oh, here it is. See, the rabbit foot.
Yes, sir.
Well, you can go out the back door, this way.
All right, fine.
Well, what are you looking for? What do you figure you'll find back there?
We're not sure, sir. Frank.
Yeah, Joe?
You want to stay out here and let us know if they come back?
Yeah, I'll wait in front of the house.
All right.
You know, it's funny about them.
What's that, sir?
Well, when they first moved in, they said they wanted the locks on the door changed. I told them it'd be okay, but they'd have to give me a key to the place. They had quite a ruckus about it, but I stood in my ground. They wasn't going to buffalo me, no, sir. Here, I'll get the lock.
All right.
Okay. Gee, smells like they haven't had a window open in a year, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Look what they've done to this room. They built a bar and everything. You sure were right about them. I think I can break the lease on this. I'm pretty sure. It says in the contract that they can't do any building without my permission, and I certainly didn't give them any okay on this.
Yes, sir. This is the dining room?
Yeah, that's it. Just pull those doors back. What's that smell, Sergeant?
I'm not sure, but I think it might be narcotics.
Drugs. I knew it. I knew it all along. Oh, just wait till they get back. I'm really going to tell them. I really am.
Rather you didn't do that, sir.
What?
Rather you didn't let them know that we were in here, that you know anything about this.
Well, why? You're going to arrest them, aren't you? You're not going to let them get away with this.
No, sir, but we understand they've got a party planned here tomorrow night. If we wait until then, we can make a charge stick.
Oh, you mean they're going to have a drunken brawl? The kids here smoking marijuana, taking heroin and stuff like that?
Well, we're not going to let them go that far, sir. We're going to need your cooperation here, Mr. Halsey.
Well, what do you want me to do?
Well, sir, we want to install listening equipment in here. We'd like to use your house.
You mean you're going to bug the place?
Well, yes, sir. We'd like to put in microphones.
Well, will it hurt the property? I mean, would you have to put nails in the walls, stuff like that?
No, sir, I don't think so.
Oh, well, then you can do it. Yes, sir, I want to help, Sergeant. That's the trouble with people nowadays. They don't want to help. You just go right ahead and put your microphones in, just as long as you don't have to nail anything in the wall.
All right, sir. If we could go back to your house, I'd like to use the phone if it's all right.
You bet. Closing that so they won't know anybody's been here, huh?
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh. Don't guess if I leave any fingerprints on the door, it'll hurt.
No, sir, I don't think it will.
No. Can't be too careful, though, But then I guess you know all about things like that.
Yes, sir. I'll go around front and get my partner.
Yeah, sure thing. You fellas all work in teams like this?
Yes, sir, most of the time.
Well, I never knew that before.
Do you have any idea at all where the Baileys might have gone? Did they give you any indication at all, sir?
No, I saw them leave this afternoon, just got in the car and left.
Did they take any luggage with them, suitcases, would you know?
Not that I could see, no.
Ah, you find anything?
Yeah, the bar's in the living room.
Oh, then what the Lambert kid said was true, huh?
Yeah, it looks that way.
Tell them about the dope in the dining room, how you open the door and smell the fumes.
Marijuana?
Yeah, it smelled like that.
Find any?
No, I didn't go over the place too good, and I thought if we were going to wire the place, we'd better get on it.
Yeah.
If we could just use your phone, sir?
Oh, yeah, you bet. Come on in. Right there, on the table in the hall.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Isn't a total call, is it?
No, sir.
Well, of course, not to make any difference. Just thought I'd ask.
Yes, sir.
You figure this will get in one of those detective magazines?
Well, I don't know, sir. We got nothing to do with that.
Well, of course, I didn't figure that you did, but if it does, I hope they spell my name right. It's S-E-Y.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Some people forget the E, you see. Spell it with just the Y.
2838, please. Asdale, it's Joe Friday. I want to install a dictograph at 825 North Lucerne. Yeah, 825 North. Mm-hmm. Right away. Yeah, well, you know better than I do. When you see the place, you can figure. Yeah, the house in the front of the lot. What? Oh, maybe 30, 35 yards? Yeah, okay. Right away. Yeah, good. We'll be in the house in front. Yeah, I will see you then.
All set?
Yeah, Asdale's coming right out.
Good.
You say, Sergeant?
Yes, sir?
I just happened to think of something. Might not mean anything.
What's that, sir?
The other day, I think it was Monday. Yes, I'm sure it was Monday because I just come back from the laundry. I always pick up my stuff on Monday.
Yes, sir.
Well, when I came back, I met Mr. Bailey. He was puttering around with the car. I asked him if he was going to take a trip. He said no, but he said he might get out of town for a little bit. I asked him if I knew anything about the roads.
What roads, Mr. Halsey?
Down to Mexico.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
And now, a report every smoker should hear.
Nose, throat, and accessory organs not adversely affected by smoking Chesterfields. First such report ever published about any cigarette. And it applies only to Chesterfield.
A responsible consulting organization has reported the results of a continuing study by a competent medical specialist and his staff on the effects of smoking Chesterfield cigarettes. A group of people from various walks of life was organized to smoke only Chesterfields. For 6 months, this group of men and women smoked their normal amount of Chesterfields, 10 to 40 a day. 45% of the group have smoked Chesterfields continually from 1 to 30 years, for an average of 10 years each. At the beginning and at the end of the 6 months period, each smoker was given a thorough examination, including X-ray pictures, by the medical specialist and his assistants. The examination covered the sinuses, as well as the nose, ears, and throat. The medical specialist, after a thorough examination of every member of the group, stated,
"It is my opinion that the ears, nose, throat, and accessory organs of all participating subjects examined by me were not adversely affected in the 6 months period by smoking the cigarettes provided."
Remember this Chesterfield report. It's the first such report ever published about any cigarette.
Nose, throat, and accessory organs not adversely affected by smoking Chesterfields.
Buy Chesterfield either way you like 'em, regular or king size. Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke. Much milder Chesterfield.
The men from the crime lab arrived and installed the listening equipment. A stakeout was placed on the house, but the Baileys failed to return that night. At 8:46 a.m. Saturday morning, the men covering the house called to say that the Baileys had just driven in. Frank and I got in touch with Douglas Lambert and his parents. With their permission, we laid out the plan for that night. It was agreed that the boy would arrive at the house at about 8:30 p.m. When the other youngsters had been served drinks, he would give us a signal by starting in to cough. When we came into the house, he would try to secure as many of the drinks as possible for evidence. We told him that there would be officers all around the house and that at no time was he to place himself in jeopardy with Sam, Inez, or any of the other youngsters. 7:30 p.m., Frank and I took up our positions in the back bedroom of the owner's house, turned on the dictograph, and waited. The Baileys were discussing the party. Sam was talking about how he watered the whiskey. At 8:27 p.m., 4 youngsters arrived. They rang the doorbell, and when Sam opened the door, they displayed the required bill. He nodded and ushered them into the living room. They did a good job in there, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Really hear it.
Mm-hmm. Lambert boy should be here pretty quick.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like they're starting anything in there yet, does it?
No. How long do you figure we wait before we go in?
As soon as he starts to cough.
You check with the other men?
Yeah, Turner and Brown are covering the back of the place. Lindsay and Carter and a couple of policewomen are parked down the street. You can see the car down there.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Huh?
Looks like the Lambert kid now coming up the walk.
Yeah, it is.
I hope everything goes all right.
All right, let's turn it up a little more, huh?
Is that better?
Yeah.
I'll get it, honey. Change that record, will you? I heard it 4 times.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Doug. Come on in. Thanks, huh?
Wasn't sure you'd be here tonight. What made you figure that? You know I wouldn't miss one of these. I just figured you might have gotten a little trouble with everything. No, it's all right now. Yeah, well, take it easy tonight, huh? Sure, Sam.
Who is it, honey?
Doug Lambert.
Hi, Doug. You having any trouble with that McLean kid?
No, I was telling Sam the cops talked to me for a while. They didn't have anything on me, so they had to let me go.
You didn't tell him anything about this place, did you?
Of course not. You know I wouldn't do that.
He wouldn't, Dinah. I told you Doug's all right. We can trust him.
Things worry me. The cops get wise to this place and we really got problems.
Oh, honey, I tell you it's okay. Don't worry about it. Come on, let's get on with the sociable. What do you have, Doug?
Whiskey, I guess.
Good deal. You want a stick? Got some fresh stuff in, real good.
Yeah, sure.
That's my boy. You know, Doug, I like you. You're a good kid. Some of the other guys come in here. I guess Inez is right about them. They're jerks, but I feel I can trust you. Oh, excuse me. We've got to fix the other kids up. Okay, with the feet. Well, kid, got something in your throat?
I don't know. You just started to
Come on, Frank. Door's locked. Let's hit it.
What's going on? Who are you guys?
Police officers, you're under arrest.
What for? What are you trying to pull?
Pull it, everybody, right where you are.
Did you hear it all, Sergeant?
Yeah, Doug, we did.
Hear what? You in on this, Doug?
I told you not to trust any of them. I told you, but you wouldn't listen.
You want to kill the phonograph, Frank? Where do you get the marijuana, Doug?
Out of that drawer. There in back of the bar.
Yeah.
There's nothing there.
Right here, Doug?
It was way in the back.
Shut up, you.
Al. What about these, Sam?
I don't know what you're talking about. I never saw those before.
All right, mister, let's go. I'll get Turner and Brown. They can take care of the kid. Right.
You and your ideas. I told you we shouldn't have come back. I told you.
Oh, knock it off. Shut your mouth, will you?
I told you last night we should have kept driving, but oh no, you figure we got a sweet racket here. You don't want to change it. It's good, you said. Yeah? How does it look now?
Look, I'm telling you, take it easy.
All right, let's go, huh?
It's the way it is, Sergeant. Try to make a living for a woman, make things nice. The first time something goes wrong, she starts to squawk. Never failed. You're riding high, everything's fine.
Him and his living, always trying to build something up, always trying to figure out a way to beat the game. One big deal, one big thing to set him up for good.
Yeah, well, I think he made it this time. Let's go.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 14th, trial was held in Department 89, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, as you know on Dragnet, we've always tried to emphasize the importance of facts, and when we talk to you about Chesterfield, we give you the facts. You heard the report George Veneman read earlier. Nose, throat, and accessory organs not adversely affected by smoking Chesterfields. That's the first such report ever published about any cigarette. Remember that report and make Chesterfield your cigarette. Get 'em, regular or king size. Chesterfield, the best possible smoke, much milder.
Samuel G. Bailey and Inez R. Bailey were filed on under the Health and Safety Code, Section 11,500, possession and sale of narcotics, and found guilty on one count. They were found guilty on 2 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Violation of Section 11,500 of the Health and Safety Code is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not more than 5 years, or imprisonment in the county jail. Contributing to the delinquency of a minor is punishable by imprisonment in the county jail for a period of not more than 1 year. The boy, Douglas Lambert, was made a ward of the juvenile court.
Ladies and gentlemen, where the community chest is at work, Red Feather Services, like youth programs and clinics, hospitals, and the USO, give direct help to 2 families out of 5 every year. And indirectly, everybody benefits. Because community chest services make America's cities and towns healthier, happier places to live. So give generously to your community chest. Pledge enough for all the community campaigns that are united under the Red Feather banner.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Sam Edwards, Vic Rodman. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Tomorrow, sound off for Chesterfields. Either way you like 'em, regular or king size, Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke. Much milder Chesterfield.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, the American Broadcasting Company brings to its entire network one of radio's most unusual programs, Pat Novak For Hire.
Sure, I'm Pat Novak For Hire. That's what the sign out in front of my office says. Pat Novak For Hire. If you're trying to make a living down on the waterfront in San Francisco, you got to run things like a smorgasbord. You take a little of everything you can get your hands on. Even then, it's a bumpy ride, because down here, everybody tries to pat his part. Oh, I rent boats and do anything else good men pay bad men to do. You don't get many gold stars that way, but you pay the bar bill, and it's about as safe as a closet full of tigers. The only way you can make friends down on the waterfront is to die. I found that out Tuesday night. I went to the wrestling matches and watched Gorgeous George throw some guy around like a poker chip in Tijuana. I was in the middle of the crowd on my way out of the place when this guy stepped up behind me and started talking.
You got company, Novak.
Huh?
I said you got company. On both sides.
No. Did your friend get his face at a fire sale, too?
Can't all be pretty. Keep walking, Novak.
Is the gun in my back supposed to help?
That's up to you. Straight ahead and out the side door.
You got the right growl, but the wrong guy, mister.
You keep working your mouth, but nothing comes out. All right, this way.
What are your plans? Shall we take the kids?
The car right down here.
Now, look, big shot. In a drugstore, I get all the mystery I want for 2 bits.
You want things explained?
Yeah, besides Shovelhead here, I don't understand a thing.
We just want Joe Denine.
I never heard of him either.
We just want Joe Denine.
All right, you can have him. You're welcome. See his wife. See anybody you like. I don't even know the guy.
You're full of talk. As soon as you want to make it the right kind, you can go home. Here we are, into the back seat. You drive, Eddie.
You boys run on. I'll grab a cab.
Get in! You're not going to take a boat. That's it. Just be a good mouse.
You got a lot of time to waste it this way, mister.
You're too gaddy, Novak.
And you're too tough, Junior.
And this noise is beginning to give me a headache.
Oh!
Let's go, Eddie. Novak's going to sulk a while.
He could have taken 3 bases on that wallet. I spread out on the back seat like a bowl of cake batter and tried to think of a guy named Joe Denine. There was nobody on my list for that name. But the way these 2 gunsels acted, he was supposed to be a blood relative. I could hear him talking dimly, and I tried to follow the conversation, but it was like trying to put a smoke ring in your pocket. I don't know how long the tour lasted. It must have been about 30 or 40 minutes when the car pulled up and the big gun started to yank me.
Wake up! Wake up, sweet boy! Come on, it's time for your 10 o'clock feeding.
Yeah. Wait till I borrow some legs, huh?
Come on, you never looked better. All right. Down the dock here.
Are we playing a new game or hunting a guy named Denine?
That's right.
Good. Now I know the rules.
Well, is that your boat, Novak?
It's got my name on it.
Is that your boat, Novak?
Well, what's it look like? The Normandy? Of course it's my boat. Who threw the blood all over it? One of your friends?
Maybe Denine.
Now, look, you better back up and start a recap. I never heard of Denine, and from the size of his friends, I'm just about as happy.
You mean he didn't rent a boat off you?
If he used that boat, he stole it, mister. I closed up tonight at 7.
You make it sound good.
It is good. I've been off the waterfront 4 hours. In the meantime, somebody takes my boat and gets it chock full of holes and sends you around a week. Who is Denine?
A friend.
I don't blame either of you for hanging on to one.
We were supposed to meet him at your landing at 10. He was going to rent one of your boats, and we were going to meet him at 10.
There's the boat. You want to pay the damages?
We came early and found the boat piled up, blood all over and no Denine. You got any ideas?
Maybe he cut himself shaving. Dragged the bay, mister. I don't know your guy, but somebody did. They met him out there in the bay and cut him down.
You sound happy.
Now, look, I don't care one way or another, except he used my boat. If he wanted to die, he should have hired a Davenport. That's all I know. I never heard of Joe Denine.
Yeah.
You and your friend here better go sap somebody else.
Sure, Novak. We'll look around, but hang on to your cards because you still got a hand in this game.
Thanks, Mother. I'll remember that.
Watch out, Eddie! Watch out, You all right, Eddie? Nice curve, Novak.
You're wrong, mister. My friends ride the cable car.
You made a bum pitch, Novak. Nice run.
All right, let go. You can't afford to fight now.
I want you for Eddie, Novak.
Sorry, fellow. The water's going to be cold.
Hey, what's the trouble? Trouble going on?
No. Whatever gave you that idea?
I'm a night watchman over here. That fellow lying on the dock there dead?
Well, if he's not, he's going to catch cold.
What about the other fellow? Maybe he can't swim.
What do you care? He doesn't.
Oh. They come here looking for something?
Yeah.
Guess they didn't find it, huh?
Somebody's satisfied. They were trying to find the guy that came out of that boat down there.
Oh, you mean the funny-looking guy?
Huh?
A guy got out of that boat a few hours ago, all banged up. I think he was in a fight.
Yeah?
Sure, somebody shot him. I think he was in a fight.
Where'd he go?
Down the dock toward the street. He asked about a fella and went down the dock.
Oh.
He asked about a fella named Novak. Do you know him?
Yeah, but I'll do my best to forget. It wasn't going to be easy to forget. I knew there was a guy wandering around San Francisco waiting to jog my memory. And before long, somebody was going to find out those two dead guys weren't doing light housekeeping down on the dock. Once homicide smelled that red meat, they'd turn Inspector Hellman loose. That's like pouring a bottle of cyanide in a wedding cake. Oh, he's a smart cop with a heart the size of a full-grown pea. I got off the dock in a hurry and I went home. When I left, the watchman was still standing there waiting to check in the next murder and smiling like a vulture with the first option on a massacre. Well, I had to get home and look sweet in case Hellman showed up. When I opened the door to my place, Hellman was on the couch with a pencil in one hand and a movie magazine in the other.
Hello, Novak. You busy?
No, I'll just stand here and watch you. A little more of that pencil and movie magazine routine, and you'll break out in a cold sweat.
Where have you been?
Staying out of other people's apartments?
I got an answer for that.
You haven't got an answer for anything, Hellman. You can't fill in the return address envelope. What's on your mind?
Can I make a call?
No, not to play cat and mouse. If you want to know about that bloodbath down on the dock, say so.
Yeah?
They're close strangers. I never saw either of them before.
You're getting loose around the mouth, Novak.
Huh?
That's right. If some of your playmates stub their toes, it's news to me. You better tell me, though. It'll save time.
Well, what's the use? If a fact walked up and sat in your lap, you'd lose it.
Suit yourself. Have a drink?
Yeah, I will. Where's the bottle opener?
Huh?
The bottle opener. You got teeth for it. I need a bottle opener, Hellman.
I don't know. Try the kitchen.
All right. Yeah.
Try the light.
Well.
About this guy on the floor, Novak. Don't tell him to move because I don't think he can.
When I looked down at the guy on the floor, I felt like a burlap sack from the neck down. He was a big guy lying on his back, and you got the idea he took it hard. He didn't like the way the vote came in. Because he wasn't relaxed the way most people are when they're on the prowl for a harp. He was about as rigid as a coil of wet line on a steamer deck. His face was pockmarked and the color of an old piece of abalone. Hellman was standing over him, and the shadow cut across the lower part of his face. It almost blocked out the gun, a big .38 lying about 4 feet away. The rest of the kitchen was a mess. It was torn up worse than a Japanese lantern in a high wind. Hellman was leaning against the cabinet and smiling, like the banker in a crooked blackjack game.
Does he belong to you, Novak?
No, he's not pretty enough. Roll him over. We'll find out who he is.
I've already been through this stuff.
Wipe your hands. The green still shows.
His name is Joe Denine.
You sure were popular, Joe.
Why?
The scavenger hunt. Every garnet in town's been looking for him.
I figured you for the prize.
2 of them picked me up and lugged me down to the waterfront.
Yeah?
I told you about them. They ran into bad weather.
Why'd they take you?
Because I look like a bird dog, maybe. I don't know why, Hellman. They just took me. In the meantime, Sunshine here took my boat out and got shot up.
And he came up here to borrow your adhesive tape.
That's all I know, Hellman. He must have figured me for a part.
I got the same trouble, Novak. That gun on the floor helps, too.
That gun's second lead at best. I never saw it before.
It's the murder gun. How'd it get here?
I don't know.
Maybe the skull remade left it. Come on, Novak. You're in the spot. You better start digging.
If I do any digging, the dirt's going to go in your face, Hellman.
You've got a nice face, too, Novak.
You better buy a big shield, Hellman. You've got a lot to hide behind.
Stop beefing. You're the host. What about the safety deposit box?
You're ahead of me on that one. You ought to have your picture taken.
He was talking about a safety deposit box when I got here.
It was alive when you got here?
That's right. Show more joy. The neighbors heard the shooting and phoned in.
Well, who did it? What did he say?
He said, tough luck, copper. That's all he said. Something about a safety deposit box and tough luck, copper.
Oh, that's real fine. You let him die clammed up. You're smart, Hellman. You let him off with a third-rate tagline.
You're lucky, Novak. This way it's going to take me 12 hours to wrap you up. I'm going to run that gun through and check a couple of things, then I'll be on your tail.
I want to see you follow something up, Hellman. With that big nose of yours, you couldn't find a moose in the bathtub.
Look, Novak, you're a small-time waterfront punk. You've been lucky so far, but you're still a punk. I don't like you, and I'm going to hang you by your heels. I'm going to get you. If it's the last thing I ever do, I'm going to get you.
Hellman, if I thought you were on the level about that, I'd give myself up. When Hellman left, things were about as dim as a glowworm at high noon. All the leads were tucked away in the morgue. Those 2 stiffs on the dock checked out with nothing but a grunt, and the guy up in my place left a .38 and some mild regrets. I had the funny feeling there was a lead up there in that apartment, but I couldn't get a hold of it. Something waiting to be understood, the way a thing gets balanced on the edge of your brain, half in, half out, like the melody but not the words of an old song. Well, I didn't know where to turn. I was hunting for the shoreline on a dark night. So I looked up the only honest guy I know, an ex-doctor and a boozer by the name of Jocko Madigan. Oh, he's all right, but he's got the idea that all liquid that isn't 100 proof lacks character. I finally found him in a little bar down near Union Square. He was talking to a blonde girl and a sailor when I walked in.
Ah, Patsy, you find me in the late October of my life, trying to recapture a few April moments.
Yes, Jocko, I got to talk to you.
That's what I like about good whiskey. It makes you too sentimental to be mad at yourself for growing old.
Now, look, I'm in a jam. Lay off that stuff long enough to listen.
Patsy, you underrate the grape. It's a terrible mistake. It's thrown off the whole perspective of history.
All right, Jocko.
Like that story about young Washington and the cherry tree. They blame him for that, but actually it was his first hint of future greatness.
Yeah.
They talk about vandalism, whereas the truth of the matter is he was just preparing a few Manhattans for the family. The whole perspective of history has been altered, Patsy.
Oh, stop it, will you? I'm in trouble. Will you help me out?
Yes, if you'll allow me to get a word in edgewise. What kind of trouble?
There's a dead guy up at my place.
Oh, I don't know why you're in trouble. Think of his bleak outlook on things.
Hellman's nosing around and he thinks I did it.
Did you?
No, he got shot in relays, but he picked my place to quit. And there are 2 other dead guys down on the dock.
What were their practices?
They strong-armed me about 10 o'clock and took me down to the waterfront. We were supposed to find a guy named Joe Denine, but they looked too ripe to somebody.
How about Denine?
He's that guy up at my place. When Hellman got there, he was muttering about a safety deposit box and staring at a big .38. Oh, come on, you got to help me, Jocko.
Yes, where would you like me to spread the ashes?
I want you to get out and find out everything you can about Joe Denine, will you?
He's your house guest. Why don't you go?
Hit the Chronicle and the Examiner morgues and try to find out if he has a safety deposit box in any of the banks, huh?
Where are you going? Before prison, I mean.
I'm going down and lie in Hellman's shadow until something turns up. I need every minute, Jocko, so hurry.
Well, I'll need a quick one for the road first.
You'll get going right now, Jocko.
Patsy, you have a defiant attitude for a man on the doorstep to the next world. Try to be sweeter until you discover your normal disposition will do. You can start by paying my bar bill.
All right. Will you hurry? How much do you owe?
About $11.
What have you been doing all night? Are you crazy?
I may owe $11, Patsy, but so far I've had a better night than you have. Good night, lover.
I had to get started on some answers because once Hellman checked on those 2 guys at the dock, he'd go to work on me. He'd keep hacking away and finally cut me down like a piece of flint in a cigarette lighter. Well, after I left Jocko, I started down to headquarters. It was a little after midnight, and the streets were wet and silent, except that now and then you could hear a woman's laughter coming out of the dark as you passed along. That's the only sound the night keeps whole. Well, I was cutting down Leavenworth Street when it came to me. I knew what my lead was up in that apartment. It didn't hit me suddenly. It kept shoving in like a piece of old seaweed on the water, moving in and out and finally brushing up against you. If that guy was alive when Hellman got there, that meant that maybe he could have phoned somebody. And if he did, then they'd have a record of it down at the desk. Well, I got back to my place and asked the operator. Well, it feels good when you got the right sweepstakes ticket. She said a call had been put in from my place at 10:15 to the Ambrose Hotel, room 204. Well, at last things were beginning to make sense. They must have made sense for about 5 seconds because Hellman called. The girl handed me the phone and he started in.
I got news for you, Novak. We checked the prints on that murder gun. They don't add.
Take your troubles to the chaplain, Hellman. I got my quota.
Yeah. You got fancy friends, too, Novak. The prints belong to Jake Fidello.
Yeah, how do you spell that?
F-I-D... You're cute, aren't you, Novak?
The Jake Fidello on nothing. Who is he?
Cheap punk like you, Novak. He's working out a 20-year stretch in Alcatraz.
Huh?
Yeah, Alcatraz. So there's no tie between the murder gun and the murder.
Maybe Fidello bought himself a 2-day furlough.
We already checked. The guard saw him in his cell at 11 o'clock tonight reading a book.
Guards pay the rent, too, Hellman. My boat was out in that bay tonight, and it came back full of bullets and blood. Now you're trying to tell me there's no connection. You better find out if a guy can skip Alcatraz for a few hours.
I'll wait, Novak. Maybe you can tell me how it's done before long.
Well, nothing matched now. It was like the chorus girl's legs in a cheap nightclub. If Jake Fidello was smart enough to beat Alcatraz for a couple of hours, then he wasn't dumb enough to leave that murder gun behind. And what was the connection between Denine and Jake Fidello? And who lived at the Ambrose Hotel? Well, I went up there to find out. It was a small place up near the top of Telegraph Hill, and when I rode by, I could see Alcatraz sitting out on the bay, a lonely island full of birthdays. The Ambrose turned out to be a high-toned little joint, the sort of place where the welcome mats printed in Old English. I went up to 204. The card in the door said Frederica Sims. I knocked, and when the door opened, it was like shaking hands with a flamethrower. She was a tall number, and she screamed Final Edition all over. She stood in the doorway for a minute and swayed in a nice, contented way like a snake on the right diet. And when she said hello, you wanted to hand her your arm and say, twist.
Good evening.
Yeah. My name's Novak.
I'll remember. Won't you come in?
It'll save an argument.
Good. I hope you don't mind crowds, Mr. Novak.
She means me, Mr. Novak. I'm Mike Trevor.
And I'm Freddy Sims.
Well, that brings us up to date.
A drink would do so much more. You need a drink, Mr. Novak. You look a little dusty.
Don't mind her, Novak. She addresses all people as peasants.
All right, now suppose you two landowners tell me who killed Joe Denine.
You know, Mike, I don't think he wants the drink.
We'll all celebrate when you get around to Denine.
I don't think we know a man by the name of Denine, particularly if he's dead.
Yes, I'm sure we wouldn't like him.
Come on, let's drop the smart talk. Come on, back in the saloon. A guy by the name of Joe Denine died all over my kitchen tonight.
Don't get tough, Novak. If you missed your dinner, all right, but don't come up here screaming about your dead friend.
Now, look, I'm about 10 feet behind a phone call. Denine put in a call for this number just before he died.
Then it was whimsy, Novak, or anything else you'd like to call it. We don't know the man. You can mull it over on your way downstairs.
Yeah, and you can use the time to think over that safety deposit box.
What safety deposit box?
Oh, you're jumping your cue, lady. Make it more casual, huh?
Do you know what you're talking about, Novak?
You think so?
I'll tell you what I'll do, Novak. I'll buy that key from you.
You got a deal, unless you want to pay it off with money.
You mean Joe Denine?
That's right. I'm running front on a murder rap. You want that key. If you want it bad enough, come on down to headquarters and we'll make a trade.
No, thanks, Novak. You didn't look bright, but I thought you might be hiding your brains somewhere. This way you lose money.
You lose even more, Trevor. I was going to ease you into that murder rap, but the offer's out. You'll have to struggle in, and you'll be too tired to get out.
Can I loan either of you boys a pickaxe?
No, thanks. Well, I'm going to run along. Can I drop you anyplace, Novak?
I'll stay.
You know, I didn't think I could drop you anyplace. Novak, you ought to sell that gleam in your eye. Some airport could use it. Good night, Freddy. Be careful.
Good night, Mike. I can take care of myself.
Yes, if you try. That's all I was worried about.
Your friend reads the wrong books.
I'll bet you never wasted your time that way. Why don't you sit down on the couch here and have a drink, Patsy? Now that the argument's over.
Is it?
Well, at least we need a drink.
Yeah, sure. That'll make the talk come easy. About that key.
Do you think I want the key?
Like nothing else in the world.
No. That's a little rash, Patsy. But I do want it. I want it very badly.
Those are famous last words, lady. You heard the round with Mike. The prices haven't changed.
Mm-hmm. That's too expensive, darling. Here's your drink. What are you looking at, Patsy?
You? The way you slide around on that couch?
Yes.
Yeah. You belong in the Everglades.
If I were there, Patsy, I think you're the kind of a guy who'll be right around the next bend.
You sound pretty sure. That's a good way to lose your shirt.
I am sure, Patsy. I know that about us. We belong in the swamp.
Yeah.
We belong together. Because we're the same kind. We're neither good nor bad. We just are. And that has to do.
You make it sound corny, baby.
Try to hide, darling, but I can see you peeking through your fingers. I can see you awfully good from here, Patsy.
Watch out. You're backing into a corner, Angel.
But I've got you with me.
Make some more noise, huh? I like it.
It's true. I've got you with me, haven't I, Patsy?
I can still struggle.
I'll bet you don't struggle good. I'll bet you don't struggle good at all, Patsy.
I still got that key, baby.
Yes, you see.
It stays at my place.
I could eat you, Patsy. You're wonderful.
Yeah.
You never hand me my drink. We'll start at the end of the table.
Sure.
That's it, darling.
It doesn't pay much to fall in love. I spent enough time on her rug to work my way into the design. And when I finally came to, it was morning. There was nobody around the place, so I started for home. On the way, I tried to fill in the blind spots, but it was like trying to match pearls in the dark. Somebody had killed Denine for the key to that safety deposit box, but where was the key? If the girl or Mike Trevor did it, then why were they still on the trail? Well, when I got to my apartment, the place was torn apart. Looked something like a mop closet after a New Year's Eve party. Jocko was sitting in the middle of the room listening to the water fizz.
Good morning. Where'd you get the bump on the head?
Romance. What'd you find out, Jocko?
Denine had lots of friends and enemies.
Yeah, one of them's Jake Fidello.
He's number one on the list. Denine had a brawl with Fidello 2 years ago. Jake promised to square the beef.
He's in a bad spot for it now.
Maybe. Denine has no safety deposit box.
Oh, that was my out.
Perhaps you can take up folk dancing in prison. I'll send you diagrams of new steps from time to time. Fidello has a safety deposit box, though.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's got a lot of money floating around somewhere.
Well.
And a lot of women doing the same thing.
We're getting a better shuffle now. Is the girl's name Freddy Sims?
That's right. Fidello loves her like the last 15 minutes of life. That's why he won't like it.
Get to the point, huh?
She's supposed to be waiting for him, but she's got married in Mexico to a guy named Mike Trevor, Fidello's best friend. Does it make sense?
No, it doesn't. Suppose Jake's found out about his sweetheart and best friend. Why would he kill Denine?
I don't know, except you'll find out, Patsy, that sometimes the difference between your best friend and your worst enemy is only a matter of opportunity.
Yeah, Novak talking.
How's the dent in your forehead?
Oh, you get around, Hellman.
Yeah, we picked her up at your apartment.
She tell you about that key?
A little. She made a confession, too.
She's generous.
Not to Mike Trevor. She pinned the whole thing on him and signed a statement. We're going to have to pick him up now. I'll see you in 10 minutes.
Why?
In case he wants to shoot somebody, I'm offering you.
Things were moving fast now. I sent Jocko down to start repair work on the boat, and Hellman picked me up 5 minutes later. We drove out Geary and turned on Van Ness. Oh, Hellman was real subtle. He stopped right in front of the rooming house where Mike Trevor was living. The girl had mapped it out for him. Trevor was in a first-floor room. It was a quiet neighborhood. But as we opened the front door and started in, I got the idea it was going to be a tough place to get any sleep for the next few minutes.
Down on the right side here. Stay ahead of me, Novak.
You're one copper who will die in bed, Hellman.
Down the hall and be quiet. Yeah, this is it.
On this lap, you go first.
Stand back while I throw it open.
Empty, Hellman.
Girl said he was here. What's that?
Your boy's up at the top of the stairs.
You see him?
Oh, he's not wearing neon pants. Go up and get him.
Come on down, Trevor. Your girl talks. Come on down and sign a confession.
I've got a better idea, Copper. You come up and hand me the pen.
All right, Novak.
Move over, Hellman. He's going to argue.
He's heading for the roof. Let's go.
Hold it, Hellman. If that door up there is locked, we'll run right through the barrel.
You get one more chance, Trevor. Come on down.
That roof door is locked.
All right, Copper, I'm coming down. Make a hole.
Now you got your hole, Trevor.
Yeah. Novak, you better get to that safety deposit box. Get there in a hurry. Before the girl.
Oh, the city owns him now, Hellman. Let's get to that safety deposit box.
Let her have the key. What do you care, Novak? She's Fidella's girl.
No. There's a queer twist here somewhere. How do you know what's in that box?
So, Fidella's in love with the girl. He's grateful. What do you care?
That's what makes it good. That's the way it is with love and gratitude. The love goes on, Hellman, but the gratitude changes. Well, the way things stood, there was only one place that key could be. I got to a phone and called Jocko. I told him to check out on the boat for a key somewhere on the floorboards. Jocko seemed happy when he said that some girl had come by 15 minutes ago and nosed around the boat for a while. Well, Hellman and I rushed down to the bank. When we got downstairs, Freddy was just starting into the vault.
Hello, Patsy. You look rested.
If you're on your way to that deposit box, you better think it over.
Can he stop me, Copper?
No, but we can hold the door until we check with Fidello.
Go ahead.
I don't think he's going to like it.
Oh, we'll have to see. I'll be back in a moment.
Let's go, Novak. We can hold the door upstairs.
No, let's hang around. I just want to see 18-karat greed when she opens that box. There's the gratitude, Hellman.
Well, Patsy, I got the key, huh?
Well, you got everything, huh?
All that night, I happened to win.
He beat you over the line by 20 minutes.
Well, that's an aspect. Let me know.
I'll try again, because you don't rate a nice way. You're not worth anything Fidello ever had.
This sort of argument, I couldn't finish it.
I was wrong about one thing, Lisa. When I said Fidello wouldn't like this. I think he will.
Yeah. You're a good kid.
Fidello was a thorough guy. The way he told out, but the right inning. Fidello found out about the girl and Mike Trevor, so he pulled a switch. He hired his enemy, Joe Denine, to do the job. Denine planted the bomb in the safety deposit box, and just to prove it was a square pitch, Fidello gave Denine. Denine was supposed to kill the girl and leave the key for Mike to blow his head off. And just to make it clean, Fidello got in touch and told him to look up Denine if anything happened to the girl. That way, he figured to knock up all three of them. But Mike jumped the gun. He started tailing Denine and shot him up out on the bay. He followed him to my place and killed him with the gun Denine was carrying. Denine came but he called the girl and told her there was a lot of money in that safety deposit box. Sharply big. But he said the girl finally double-crossed Mike Trevor and turned him in. Trevor killed those two guys on the pier. He lost Denine in the fog. And when he drove up, a couple of jumpers along got scared. The question, what could that girl have said to Jocko to make him let her walk in and breeze out with that key? I mentioned that to Jocko, but he just smiled.
It brought you Pat Novak For Hire, starring Jack Webb. Pat Novak is directed and produced by William P. Rousseau. Jocko Madigan is played by Tudor Owen. Inspector Hellman is played by Raymond Burr. Music was composed and conducted. In our cast were Vaughn Fady, Paul Avery, Harley Bear, and Herb Ellis. This program is being released to our worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. This is George Fenneman inviting you to be with us again next week, when over most of these same ABC stations will bring you Pat Novak For Hire. This program came to you from Hollywood. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, first cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. You got a call that a man has been murdered. His killer is unknown. Your job? Get him. Here's what the tobacco trade press has had to say about Chesterfield's
U.S. Tobacco Journal, Boston, Massachusetts. Chesterfield cigarettes in the new king size is still maintaining large turnovers in this area. Dealers report that sales continue to climb on this size, and it seems that volume on the regular size has climbed to new heights with its big brother.
And Tobacco Leaf reports from Chicago more calls for Chesterfield king-size cigarettes than for most brands being marketed.
Dealers all over the country tell us no product they ever handled has grown so fast in so short a time as king-size Chesterfields.
King-size cigarettes give you quantity, but only Chesterfield king size gives you quantity plus quality. Premium quality.
Chesterfield king size contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king size cigarette.
In fact, the only difference between Chesterfield king size and Chesterfield regular is that the king size is larger, contains more of these same tobaccos, enough to give you more than a 1/5 longer smoke.
So remember, Chesterfield is the only cigarette to give smokers premium quality in both regular and king size.
Ask your dealer for Chesterfield, either way you like them. Premium quality Chesterfields, and much milder.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Saturday, May 12th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Freddy. It was 8:04 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
That's you, Joe?
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm late, Frank. I got held up in traffic.
Okay, no problem.
I'll sure be there when I get that freeway finished, won't you? Around the end of the pass this time of the morning, you can't go more than 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, cars really climb up around Franklin. Oh, boy, when we get through tonight, I'm going to go straight to bed. I might not even stop to eat.
All right, what's the matter? Have trouble getting sleep last night?
Well, I wouldn't have had any trouble if I'd had the chance to do it.
What do you mean? I don't get it.
My brother-in-law.
Oh, what do you have to do with it?
A couple of weeks ago, he sent away for one of those courses in hypnotism at home. Book got to the house yesterday right away. He's got a new career, going to go into the hypnotism business.
All right.
Yeah. Book tells how if you do it right, you can have full control over people, make them do things you want, all that stuff. Right away, he's got to practice on somebody. We just finished dinner, and I was all settled down to watch television. He comes in with this little book, a little bitty mirror and a candle, and the first thing he lights the candle and tells me to look at it. Concentrate, you know.
Yeah.
I told him to go take a run and jump, and right away Faye joins in and says I don't want him to get ahead. And I said something about the fact that he could use one, and it started. Ends up with me sitting there and him trying to control my will.
What did it work?
I don't know. Waved his hand in front of me and flashed the mirror in my eyes, and I fell asleep.
Yeah.
And right away wakes me up, wants to know how it felt, what it was like when he put me under. I told him he didn't, and I just went to sleep, so he kept trying to use with this book called Post-Hypnotic Suggestion. You know, while I'm asleep, he says something I'm supposed to do when I wake up.
Oh, yeah.
And then he woke me up and waited for me to do it.
What do you want you to do?
I never found out. He just sat there and looked at me. Every time I'd doze off, he'd wake me up so I could do whatever it was he suggested. And around 1:30 this morning, he gave up. He said the book wasn't any good and he was going to get his money back. All the time, Faye's sitting there just watching, miserable. If I'd known what it was he wanted me to do, I'd have done it to get him off my back.
Never did find out what it was.
This morning, wouldn't even say hello. Figured I wasn't cooperating, I guess.
I get it. Homicide, Friday. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, it is. Mm-hmm. Yes, well, what was that address again? Yes, ma'am, we'll be right out.
Something for us?
Yeah, a woman out on Burn Street, 6425, says her son's been murdered. Frank and I drove out to the house. It was a typical residential neighborhood. When we got there, a crowd had gathered around the front of the house. A radio car had arrived, and the officers had gotten the people back from the lawn and the entrance of the house. We went in and met the woman who had placed the call, a Mrs. Edith Curtis. She was a woman in her late 40s with graying hair. As we talked to her, she kept wringing a handkerchief in her hand.
Jeff was cleaning the gun. Middle of the week, he looked at it and said that it needed cleaning. He's always home on Saturday, so this morning he said he might as well get at it. After breakfast, he got out all the things he uses, put them on the table in there, and started to clean the gun. I was in the bedroom tidying up the place. I heard these loud voices and then a shot. I went to the living room, and I saw this man standing there. As soon as he saw me, he turned around and ran for the door. I yelled at him, but he didn't stop.
What'd you do then, ma'am?
I went over to Jeff. He was just lying there, still and quiet. I could see where he'd been shot. I knew he was dead, and then I called you. Before you got here, the other men, the ones in the car, got here. But it was too late. My boy was dead. Terrible. Just terrible.
Yes, ma'am. I'll go see if my partner's finished with the call, Mrs. Curtis. Would you like us to call your family doctor?
No. Very kind of you, but I'll be all right. This house has been full of tragedy. The last couple of years, nothing but sadness. I'm used to it. I guess the good Lord makes you used to it. If he didn't, I don't think a mother could go on.
Ma'am?
My youngest daughter, Alice. 2 years ago, this next month, the 24th, she killed herself, Sergeant. It almost killed me, too, losing her.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why I say I'm used to it. I got to the point after Alice was dead where I couldn't see any reason for going on. Then I figured that the good Lord must have wanted it this way. And I wasn't the one to say it was wrong. Alice was going to have enough trouble as it was.
I don't think I understand.
Suicide, Sergeant. The one unforgivable sin.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Joe. I called them. Checked with the fellows in the car. They're looking around the neighborhood.
Miss Curtis.
Yes.
I wonder if you could give us a description of the man you saw. We'd like to get out a call on him.
Of course, I saw him pretty good, just standing there looking at me.
Well, how old a man would you say he was?
Maybe 35 or 40. Not any older than that, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. How tall would you say he was?
Taller than you.
About how much taller?
Oh, maybe a couple of inches.
I want to make him about 6'1" or 2. Is that right?
Yes, I think that's pretty close.
About his weight. How heavy do you think he was?
I'm not very good at that. I guess about 180, around there.
Uh-huh. What about his clothes? What was he wearing? Could you remember?
He had on one of those blue denim outfits. You know, the trousers and the jacket, light blue.
Mm-hmm.
Then the coat had that dark blue trim knitted around the bottom and collar. Had on a white shirt, no tie. And a pair of those shoes with the real thick soles. That rubber.
Mm-hmm. Anything unusual about him?
I don't think I know what you mean.
Or did he have any marks or scars? Anything that might make it easier for us to identify him?
No, not that I could see. But you won't have any trouble identifying him. I'll tell you if you have the right one or not.
Did he have a car? Would you know that?
I don't think so. I didn't see one.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. I'll call us in right away, Joe. Get out the local and APB.
Yeah. Miss Curtis?
Yes.
Could you tell us exactly what time the shooting took place?
Not exactly, but I'd say about 7:45.
Uh-huh. Did this man say anything to you?
No. Not a word.
You never saw him before, maybe around the neighborhood, the stores, in the street someplace?
No, I never saw him. I know that. But if I see him again, I'll know him.
All right. I'll be right back, Joe. Okay. I hope you won't take offense, ma'am.
What's that, Sergeant?
Well, you don't seem too greatly concerned about your son's death here.
I thought I'd explain that to you. I told you that I have to figure that it's the Lord's will.
Mm-hmm.
I might as well tell you, Sergeant. You'll probably find out anyway.
What's that, ma'am?
Well, Jeff and I had a few arguments. Nothing serious, but we did have words.
I beg your pardon, ma'am?
Well, I told you that my daughter took her own life.
Oh, yeah.
She lived with us here in this house. I thought it was a happy home. I found out it wasn't. I found out too well.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Alice, that's my daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, she was going to marry. She'd met a young man who worked in an aircraft factory. She seemed to think he was very nice. I couldn't see much in him. I told her so. We had quite a few rows about it, once when he was here.
Mm-hmm.
On that night, the row, Alice's young man left, made quite a fuss about my trying to run the children's lives. Told Alice that he'd marry her right away that night. But when they were married, he didn't want to have anything to do with Jeff or me.
Well, did Jeff take any part in this quarrel?
No, my yes. Finally, the young man stormed out of the house. Alice was in tears, just seemed to go to pieces. That night, she took an overdose of sleeping pills. I'll never forget when I called her for breakfast. Terrible. That's not doing any good. I'm sorry, Sergeant.
That's quite all right, ma'am. Now, you said you and your son had several arguments. Was it about this engagement thing here?
Yes, after Alice's funeral. Jeff seemed to sulk around the house. Then at night he'd go out and drink quite a bit. He seemed to think that I'd caused Alice to do away with herself. I tried to tell him that I didn't, that I was just as sorry as he was. I told him how badly I felt, but it didn't seem to do any good.
Well, have you heard from Alice's fiancé since that night?
He was at the funeral.
Well, what's his name, Mrs. Curtis?
Dudley. Bruce Dudley.
Do you know where we can get in touch with him?
I think Jeff had his address. I can look for it.
Thank you.
But you don't think that Bruce had anything to do with this? I know it wasn't him. I know Bruce. I know what he looks like. It wasn't him in the living room.
Well, we just want to talk to him, ma'am.
Of course, he might have hired someone else. No, I'm sure Bruce had nothing to do with it. Even with what he did say.
Ma'am?
That night, when they had the fight, Jeff told him that if he didn't get out, he'd throw him out.
Mm-hmm.
When he left, Bruce said that someday our meddling in other people's lives was going to backfire, that it might take some time, but that we'd be repaid. And that look in his eyes when he went through the door, Sergeant,
yeah.
Maybe he did do it. He looked mad enough to kill us both.
9:12 a.m. The coroner arrived and removed the body. The men from the crime lab crew went over the place. A complete set of pictures was taken before the body was removed. Latent prints went over the rifle on the table and the cleaning apparatus. Frank and I noticed that the tablecloth on the living room table had been on the floor when we got to the house. Mrs. Curtis had told us that her son had grabbed it as he fell to the floor. We talked with the neighbors. One of them, a Mrs. Alvin Kemper, said that she had been watering the lawn between 7:30 and 8 a.m., but that she had seen no one enter or leave the Curtis house. She told us that she had heard frequent and loud arguments between Mrs. Curtis and her son. Frank and I drove out to the address of Bruce Dudley. It was a modern one-room apartment on Riverside Drive in the San Fernando Valley. We rang the buzzer a second time and waited.
Looks like he's not in.
Oh, what time you got?
12:17.
He's probably gone out. Come on, we can check the manager.
Yeah?
Oh, Mr. Dudley?
Yeah, what do you want?
Well, police officers would like to talk to you.
Okay, come on in. I just got up, out late last night. I don't feel at all well. Now, move those clothes and sit down. I'm going to put a pot of coffee on. Oh, I feel like a troop of midgets ran barefoot over my tongue.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
What do you want to see me about?
You know a Jeff Curtis?
Yeah, I know him. Hey, what'd you say your names were?
Well, my name's Freddy. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
You got any badge? Something to prove that you're cops?
Yes, sir. Here's my ID.
Uh-huh. Sergeant Joseph Friday. Okay. Now, what's this about Jeff?
He's dead, Mr. Dudley.
Dead?
Yes, sir.
How did it happen? Accident?
Well, we're not sure.
He didn't kill himself, did he?
Why do you ask that?
I just thought he might have. Sister killed herself. Thought he might have done the same thing.
You know of any reason that he'd do something like that?
Oh, no, not that I could name.
I understand you and Mr. Curtis didn't get along too well.
We got along all right. Oh, when Alice and I split up, there were some words, nothing serious.
Well, the way we got it, you were pretty sure of him.
Yeah?
Yeah. I understand you and he had quite an argument. He was ready to throw you out of the house.
You've been talking to his mother. She's been throwing lies around again.
Well, is it true? Did you and Curtis have an argument?
Yeah, I got nothing to hide.
You been out of the house this morning?
No, why?
Have any way of proving you were here all morning?
Just got up. You know that. You guys got me out of bed. What are you trying to prove?
Just want to know if you can account for your time, that's all.
You think I had something to do with Jeff's death, is that it?
We didn't say that.
No, but you meant it. Oh, excuse me. I got to get the coffee. You want some coffee?
No, thanks.
How about you?
No.
You don't mind if I have a cup, huh?
No, sir, go right ahead.
Thanks. Let's face it. You guys really think I had anything to do with what happened to Jeff?
We're not paid to say what we think. We try to get the facts.
Yeah. And if I was you, I'd concentrate on Mrs. Curtis. I wouldn't put it past the old bat to kill her own son. Check around the bars in the neighborhood. Talk to his friends, they'll tell you. His mother was scared to death that he'd marry one of these days and walk out on her. He used to be on his back all the time about the girls he went out with. I knew some of them. Alice and me used to double date with him once in a while.
Mm-hmm. They ever have any arguments about this while you were around?
A couple of times, yeah. If you don't believe me, why don't you check with Harry? He'll tell you the same story. Lord knows he went through enough of it.
Harry?
Yeah, Jeff's brother. He got married, let's see, about 5 years ago. Moved out of the house, lock, stock, and baggage. He went through a thrash with his mother about it. He'll tell you about it. He used to come over to see Jeff once in a while after he got married, but the old lady caused so much trouble that they started me at the bar. Got to the point where Harry wouldn't go in the house. Check with him, he'll tell you.
You know where we can get in touch with him?
No, I haven't got the address. Look it up in the book, Harry Curtis. I think it's out on Selma, someplace in Hollywood.
All right, sir. Where do you work?
Meyer Aircraft. I'm a toolmaker.
You work the day shift?
Yeah, I'm off today. Hey, what's this for?
Just wanted to know where we could reach you.
You still think I had something to do with it, huh?
No, we didn't say you did. Your name came up, and we had to check it out.
Yeah. Oh, a lot of times when Jeff and I didn't get along, I won't try to tell you that there weren't. I'd never do anything to hurt him. Got enough on his hands with that mother.
Yeah.
Sure, one night when we came home from a date, Alice, me, Jeff, and his date, we're sitting around the kitchen having something to eat. Mother came in madder than a wet hen. Raised Cain, told Jeff to get the woman out of the house. Jeff told her he wouldn't have her talk to the girl like that. He thought quite a bit of her. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the old biddy walked right over and slapped the girl across the face, told her to leave Jeff alone. Said she'd rather see him dead than tied up with a girl like that.
2:40 p.m. We drove back to the office. There'd been no replies on the local or the APB. We checked the names of Jeffrey Curtis and Bruce Dudley through R&I. There was no record on Curtis, but Dudley had been arrested twice for LAMC 4127C, being drunk in a public place. He'd served sentences in the city jail on both charges. We checked with the coroner's office, and they told us that Curtis had been killed by a .38 caliber bullet. It had been fired at close range into the back of his skull. The bullet was booked for evidence, and we made out a dead body report. We put in a call to the brother's house, but we were told that he was out of the city, and he wouldn't return until sometime that night. We left word for him to call our office as soon as he returned. We checked on the suicide story given us by Mrs. Curtis and found that an Alice Curtis had taken her own life by an overdose of sleeping pills 2 years before. 5:20 p.m. Frank and I drove out to talk to Mrs. Curtis again.
You want to look at Jeff's room, don't you?
Yes, Miss Curtis.
This way.
When we were here this morning, you didn't say anything about your other son.
Harry? Well, you see, Officer, Harry doesn't care much for me. I know it's hard to believe that a boy would desert his own mother, but that's what Harry did. He got married, and right away his wife started to cause trouble between us.
The rifle your son was cleaning this morning.
Oh, yes. Those men from the crime lab, I think they said they took it.
Yes, ma'am. Did your son do much hunting?
Well, he used to. He used to do quite a bit before Harry got married. They used to be great pals. Mm-hmm. Mother couldn't ask for a better pair of sons. And when Harry left home, Jeff sort of gave it up. He cleaned a gun when he had to, but he didn't go after game anymore. Then, too, he was afraid to leave me alone at night.
Ma'am?
Well, we've had a lot of trouble with prowlers in the neighborhood. Had to call the police a couple of times. They didn't find anybody, though.
Mm-hmm.
These your son's clothes, ma'am?
Yes.
This man you saw this morning, did you notice if he had a gun?
Yes, he did. It was a revolver. When I came into the room, it was still smoking.
Mm-hmm. Did your son keep any other firearms in the house?
Oh, no, just the rifle. I wouldn't have any other guns in the place. I don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
You had any call to go up in the attic lately, Mrs. Curtis?
What?
The attic, ma'am. Have either you or your son had any reason to go up there?
No, I don't think we've been up there since we moved. Could I get you officers a cup of coffee or anything? I've got some nice fresh cake. Like a slice of that?
No, ma'am. Thanks just the same.
No?
Yeah.
Look at here.
Yeah.
Look here on the shoulders of these suits in the back. You see this dirt? Looks like it came down from that door to the attic.
Yeah. Let me get a chair and we'll have a look.
What's this all about? I told you we haven't used that attic. Don't you believe me?
We'd just like to take a look if you don't mind, ma'am.
Well, maybe I do mind.
It's just going to take a minute, ma'am.
I think you officers have sure got your nerve. I tried to be nice to you, help you out. Isn't enough that my boy's dead. Now you have to come in here and tear my home apart.
There's something up here, Freddy. I can reach it. Yeah, here it is. Get my pencil. You ever seen this, Mrs. Curtis?
No. I haven't got any idea how that gun got there. Doesn't belong to us.
What do you think, Joe? I don't know. 38 caliber.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
And now a report every smoker should hear.
Nose, throat, and accessory organs not adversely affected by smoking Chesterfields. First such report published about any cigarette.
A responsible consulting organization reports a study by a competent medical specialist and staff on the effects of smoking Chesterfields. For 6 months, a group of men and women smoked only Chesterfield, 10 to 40 a day, their normal amount. 45% of the group have smoked Chesterfields from 1 to 30 years, for an average of 10 years each. At the beginning and end of the 6 months, each smoker was given a thorough examination, including x-rays, and covering the sinuses, nose, ears, and throat. After these examinations, the medical specialist stated,
"It is my opinion that the ears, nose, throat, and accessory organs of all participating subjects examined by me were not adversely affected in the 6-month period by smoking the cigarettes provided."
Remember this report and buy Chesterfield, regular or king size. Premium quality Chesterfield, and much milder.
We took the gun back to the city hall. It was checked for fingerprints, but none were found. We checked with pawn shop records, but the gun had not been registered. By checking with the manufacturer, we got the retailer's name. It had been sold to the victim, Jeff Curtis. The gun was turned over to Russ Camp for the routine check through ballistics.
Just a minute till I take it out.
Right.
Okay. There's the end of the comparison knife. There we are. What's the matter now? Striations here.
Got a make, Russ?
Yeah, the match.
11:46 p.m. Harry Curtis called the office. He was surprised to hear of his brother's death, but said that he would be down to see us in the morning. Frank and I checked out, and the next morning we drove out to the house on Burn Street and picked up Mrs. Curtis. We talked to her in the interrogation room.
This is perfectly ridiculous. I don't understand what you're trying to get me to say.
Well, maybe if we lay it out for you, ma'am.
Yes, that might do it. At least it would be something.
All right, when we walked into your house yesterday morning, you said that nothing in the house had been touched, that everything was just as it was when your son was killed. Is that right?
Yes, I guess I said that.
I'd like to have you be sure one way or the other, ma'am. What did you say?
I said that. I hadn't touched anything. Nobody did.
Uh-huh. Would you tell us what your son was doing when you left the room?
I told you he was cleaning the rifle.
On the living room table?
Yes, that's right.
What did you say he did after he was shot?
I said he fell down.
Did he touch anything as he fell, brush up against anything?
Well, when he fell, he grabbed the tablecloth, pulled it down with him.
Yes, ma'am. Well, then maybe you can explain how it was that all the things he used to clean the rifle and the gun itself were still on the table.
What?
How is it those things didn't come off the table when he pulled the cloth off?
I don't know what you're trying to get me to say.
Well, we'd like for you to tell us the truth.
I'm telling that.
All right, ma'am. When the crime lab went over to your house, they found 2 places in the kitchen floor that had been filled in with plastic wood. The job didn't look very old.
Well, what's wrong with that? Jeff took good care of the house. He might have tried to plug up some place where ants were getting in.
When the men from the lab dug up the patches, they found 2 .38 caliber bullets underneath. They checked them with the bullet that killed your son. The bullets came from the same gun.
I don't know what you're talking about. What does all this show?
You talked about the prowlers. Said you had trouble with them in the neighborhood?
That's right.
What action did you take to stop this?
I called the police. Had them come out and try to find the person who was causing the trouble.
When did you call the police last?
3 weeks ago.
We've checked the reports, ma'am. There's no record of anyone having called the police to check prowlers in that neighborhood for the past 6 months.
Are you trying to make me out a liar? Is that what you're trying to do?
We're trying to get the truth.
Frank?
Yeah, Joe.
You want to check the office and see if Mr. Curtis is here yet?
Yeah, sure.
You brought my son here?
Yes, ma'am. We've got to get the truth to this.
Well, why did you have to get him involved in it?
Well, as I said, ma'am, we're trying to find the facts.
You don't believe what I've told you?
Well, no, ma'am. You've made it a little difficult.
How can you say that?
Well, first you tell us that nothing was touched, yet the physical setup doesn't make that possible. You deny knowing anything about the gun when we find it, but we find 2 bullets that have been fired from the same gun embedded in the floor of the kitchen. You told us about prowlers in the neighborhood, but there's no police record of it. Your next-door neighbor says she was out in front of her house all morning, but she didn't see anyone enter or leave your house. We find the murder gun up in the attic. You told us you saw the killer leave the house with a gun. Your son died instantly. Now, can you tell us who put the gun there? No, ma'am. There's too much here that doesn't gel.
They got you into this, didn't they, Harry?
Yes, Mother?
They're trying to tell you that I killed Jeff. They want me to tell them that I killed my own boy. Tell them I wouldn't do a thing like that. Not my own boy.
Afraid I can't, Mother.
What do you mean you can't?
The officers just told me about it.
Well, who are you going to believe? These policemen or me, your mother?
You don't give me much choice.
What?
I love you, Mother. You got to believe that. I know that whatever you did, you thought was right. I know you didn't mean to hurt Jeff. I know that.
Then you think I killed him, too. Don't you? Harry, give me an answer. You think I killed Jeff, don't you?
Yes, Mother.
Well, I did. I didn't think I meant to do it. I think I just wanted to frighten him. He was running around so much. Those tramps who was seeing terrible women. I had to keep him home. I had to keep him with me. He was all I had. I'm not young anymore, Harry. You went away, then Alice. Jeff was all I had. I didn't want him to leave, and he was going to. We had an argument. He was cleaning the gun. I got the revolver. That way I knew that I'd always have him with me, that he wouldn't leave. I pulled the trigger. Then I knew what I'd done. That Jeff was gone, too. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know. You've got to believe that, officer.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe me? That I just wanted my boy? I wanted to keep him. That's all any mother wants. I tried to keep my boy.
Well, maybe that's what was wrong.
What do you mean?
You tried too hard.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On September 4th, trial was held in Department 87, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Each of our Dragnet case histories is based entirely on facts taken from authentic police files, and everything we tell you about Chesterfield is based on facts, too. Chesterfield, for example, was the first to name its ingredients. Chesterfield tells you what it's made of, because you should know what gives you the best possible smoke. Now, that brings me to the report that George Fenneman and Hal Gibney read earlier. That, too, is based entirely on facts. Nose, throat, and accessory organs not adversely affected by smoking Chesterfield. First such report ever published about any cigarette. Remember this the next time you buy cigarettes and ask for Chesterfield. Regular or king size, premium quality Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke.
Edith A. Curtis was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree and was sentenced to the state penitentiary for women, Tehachapi, California. While serving her sentence there, she died from natural causes. Murder in the first degree is punishable by death or confinement in the state penitentiary for life. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Herb Ellis, Helen Cleve, Whit Connor. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Tomorrow, sound off for Chesterfield. Either way you like them, regular or king size, Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke. Much milder Chesterfield.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
My name's Jeff Regan. I get 10 a day in expenses from a detective bureau run by a guy named Anthony J. Lyon. They call me the Lion's Eye.
With Jack Webb as Jeff Regan, Investigator, stand by for hard-boiled action and mystery and thrilling adventure in tonight's story of The Man with the Key.
A block above Wilton on Hollywood Boulevard, there's a street they call Taft. It isn't very long. About 48 palm trees and a couple of bad sewers. It figures that the guy who laid it was nearsighted. He didn't see the hill 3 blocks away. Got kind of a tired look, like an old lady who's been moving furniture. There's a dirty gray apartment house on the right-hand side of the street. That's my place. 308. A low ceiling and a leaky faucet. A telephone that rings at the wrong time. It was last Monday night, about 11 o'clock. I was in bed listening to the party next door when it rang. It was the Lion.
Regan, get your clothes on.
That the way you sleep?
You're going to be busy. We got a new client.
Well, tell me all about it in the morning.
Special messenger came to my place 15 minutes ago with a C note.
Any good?
It was from somebody named Dora King.
Well, who's that?
That's what you're going to find out.
I can see better in the daytime.
She's waiting for you right now.
Oh, yeah.
At a place on La Brea called the Southerner.
Should I take my banjo?
Don't be funny. She wants to talk to you, so get over there.
Well, what does she want to talk about?
How would I know?
Well, don't you ever check into things?
That's what I pay you for.
All right, where's last week's salary?
You'll get it.
When?
As soon as I find out if your expenses were legit. Now get busy.
That all?
No, call me right after you've seen her.
Why?
I want to know what's what.
You mean you want to know if she can afford more than a C note?
You're getting out of line.
That's what they told Gypsy Rose Lee. Well, I got over there about 11:30. Turned out to be a small place, long on the shadows and short on the whiskey. There was a bald-headed guy playing a piano in one corner. I guess he'd been inside for a long time, because he'd never been out for a music lesson. The bartender was the only other guy in the joint. His name couldn't have been Dora King. So I went to work on a straight shot and waited. 2 drinks later, a girl in a black dress walked in. She took in the piano player and the bartender and me. I won. She started toward me with a slow, easy kind of a walk, like a panther looking for breakfast. When she oozed onto the stool beside me, the bartender got damp all over. The air conditioning wasn't doing him any good.
What'll it be, miss?
Make it the same as his.
Okay, bourbon and water.
Got a match?
Yeah?
Got a cigarette?
Mm-hmm.
Got a name?
Maybe.
I'll bet it's Regan.
All right, you got that much.
My name's Dora King. I'm sorry I'm late.
You ever on time when you meet a guy?
No.
Your money, you can spend it any way you want.
You always this nice to customers?
I don't get paid to be nice.
What do you get paid for?
Have you got a story?
I haven't had my drink yet.
Hey, you.
Coming up. I'm jet propelled. Here you are, miss. Hey, hot night, ain't it?
You waiting for the weather to change?
It ain't gonna change in here, brother.
What's your first name?
Jeff.
I don't like it.
Neither do I.
I'm going to call you Regan.
All right, let's start calling.
Have you got a license?
Covers up a hole in my wall.
Have you got something that says you're what you say you are?
All right. Here.
The lion's eye. 6 feet, 170. Brown eyes. You fit?
Yeah, I got a mole on my left shoulder.
Let me feel. You pass.
Okay, you won the toss. Let's kick off.
Well, this isn't where we play. We'll go in my car.
Where?
You'll find out when you get there.
Maybe I won't like the field.
You trust me, don't you?
No.
Good.
Fill her up again?
We're just leaving.
Floor show starts in a couple of minutes.
That piano player going to be in it?
Yeah, he's my brother. He's going to play something he wrote himself.
Any good?
Stinks. Maybe you better go.
Well, the bartender was pouring himself 4 fingers of rye and about a fingernail of water when we walked out of there. We climbed into a big Nash convertible, parked in front of the place, and headed for Santa Monica Boulevard. Then we turned east, past Western, down to Vermont, and south to Marathon. All at once, we were climbing a hill on a dark street. That gave us a view of the city. 20 years ago, a real estate broker might have had something, but now it was just an old neighborhood with a sad look, like a toe dancer with a short leg. Nobody said anything. I was beginning to have a feeling that maybe she'd forgot her compass when she slowed the car down. She pointed to a 2-story house in the middle of the block, and I nodded. Then she shoved the car in second and spun around the corner and came to a stop. I got out and walked around to let her out. She didn't move.
End of the line.
Short fare.
Time for you to go to work.
What kind of work?
The white place back there, 3936. You saw it?
It came through.
It's a boarding house.
I already got a room.
On the 2nd floor, number 10. Knocked twice.
Prohibition's dead, lady.
There's a man there. His name's Bender. Ben Bender.
That'll wake him up.
He's expecting you.
You're quitting?
My job's finished. You're the new help.
Well, what do I do?
He'll tell you.
That all?
One thing more. Come here.
Yeah. Part of my fee?
That's extra.
I don't generally get tipped.
Just for luck.
You act like I'm going to need lots of it.
You are.
When do I see you again?
You don't. Goodbye, gorgeous.
I stood there and watched her drive away. And then I noticed it. Somebody in a black coupe coasted around the corner, kicked into high gear at the bottom of the hill. I kept watching, but whoever it was hadn't read the traffic laws lately. He didn't use his lights for 2 blocks. Oh, it registered. He was on a tail job, and Dora was nice to tail. 3936 Marathon. Inside, it smelled like stale beer and rotting wood. Room number 10 was at the top of the stairs. The door was already open. A thin guy with a hungry look was sitting on the edge of the bed. He was all bones. He didn't get up when I came in. He just kind of looked at me, and his eyes were full of water. All of a sudden, he pulled a bandana out of his pocket and began coughing. You're sitting in a draft.
All my life. You, Regan?
A girl with warm lips said I'd find you here.
Thanks for coming. Sit down. Hey, just got back from a trip.
Up north?
Yeah.
Sanitarium?
State said I needed a cure.
Did it take?
What do you think?
You're still coughing.
The doctor said I could go. You can give me a going-away present. $10 and a suit of clothes. It's a bum rap.
That's what they all say.
Who I am?
Ben Bender.
Big Ben Bender. Does that mean anything to you, Pilgrim?
Must have been before my time.
Yeah? How old do you think I am?
I'm out of practice.
I'm up to 60. And I'm 45. That's what 7 years in a sanitarium will do.
You ought to get a specialist.
Already got one.
What's his name?
You.
No, I'm only an intern.
You'll do.
All right, what do you want?
The guy goes up there and he makes a lot of friends. And a lot of enemies. Sometimes you can't tell one from the other.
Does it make any difference?
Big Ben don't trust nobody.
No, what about that girl?
Dora? Forget her. Her job's done.
That's what she said.
See this key?
Yeah?
I wear it around my neck. I worn it for 7 years. You'll wear it for the next 7 hours.
Why?
Them friends and enemies I was telling you about.
What does the key fit?
My safety deposit box at the American Security Bank. You meet me there. Tomorrow, at 10.
What if I oversleep?
Stay up all night. I'll pay for the no-dose. Just be there.
After that?
Then your job's finished. It's off this door you ever made.
Look, now, you kept this key 7 years. Why can't you keep it for 7 more hours?
My business.
What's in the box?
My business.
Okay. Any of those friends or enemies drive a black coupe, white sidewalls?
I don't know. Why?
My business. I left him sitting there. He looked as happy as a sword swallower with the hiccups. Well, I put the key in my coat pocket, but it felt hot, like a dynamite stick with a short fuse. If Big Ben had been holding it for so long, somebody else might want it. Maybe somebody who drove that black coupe. Well, I went out the back entrance, walked down an alley, and doubled over 5 blocks to Vermont. I stopped a cab, and I had him take me over to the Lyons place. It was 2:30 in the morning when he opened the front door. He was wrapped in a bathrobe big enough to keep all the silkworms working overtime.
What do you want, Regan?
Information.
You been drinking?
I've been working.
What kind of work?
Well, I got a key.
That all?
That's what they say.
Who's they?
A con named Bender.
Ben Bender?
That's right.
I thought he was doing a long run up in Quentin.
Well, he's out now.
Where does Dora King fit?
Taxi service. She took me to Bender. He gave me the key.
Let me see it.
All right, here.
Safety deposit box.
That's right. Nursemaid to a hunk of metal until tomorrow at 10.
What then?
Well, I meet him at the American Security Bank and turn it over to him.
Well, do it.
Now, look, Big Shot, this key's hot.
What makes it hot?
Whatever's in that box.
What's that?
How should I know?
Find out. You got the key.
You got the client.
Now, just a minute.
Somebody waves a greenback at you and you think it's a rainbow.
That's enough.
Oh, stop it, will you? It's another bum client and you know it.
Let me worry about that.
If Ben held that key for 7 years and won't hold it now, he's scared.
What's he got to be scared of?
Somebody else who wants in on the
So
play.
what?
I'm holding the key. That makes me the clay pigeon.
You're getting paid for it. Just be there tomorrow at 10. Alive.
Well, I left the Lion and went out to the street. Nobody was there. I hailed a cab, and he let me off in front of my place. Nobody was there. I opened the front door of my apartment. Nobody was there. I began to feel like a good bet for the Lonely Hearts Club. It was a good feeling. I sat up all that night waiting. Nothing happened. I felt about as popular as a bald-headed chorus girl. Nobody made a play. It was 5 minutes to 10 when I pulled into the parking lot next to the American Security Bank. The car next to me was a black coupe with white sidewalls. It could have been the same one that tailed us the night before. But then I figured there's a lot of cars in L.A. like that. But I leaned in and I looked at the registration. This one belonged to a guy named Al Spandy, who lived in Van Nuys. I wrote the address down and walked into the bank. The guard in a blue uniform waved me downstairs to the safety deposit boxes. It was 10, and still nothing happened. I began to feel kind of relieved, like a flagpole sitter when the wind died down. Big Ben hadn't showed yet. The only one there was a blonde sitting in a glass cage in front of the vaults. She looked at me, and I began to wonder what she did on her days off.
Good morning. May I help you?
Yeah, I want to see if the rent on my box has been paid. Here's the key.
60B. Just a minute. I'll take a look. 60B. 60B's all paid for.
Well, I guess my partner must have taken care of it.
This isn't a joint box. You're the only one who can get into it, Mr. Bender. Would you like to go in now?
No, I'm waiting for somebody.
We're all waiting for somebody.
I'm waiting for a man.
So am I.
Been waiting long?
Years.
Here?
Yes.
Better places to wait.
The ones with money keep coming here. My name's Claire.
I'll remember that.
Will you remember this? Granite 3408.
I'll try it on my phone.
When?
As soon as I get a spare nickel.
I'll give you one.
Well, you'll run out of them that way.
That's why I work in a bank.
Kind of hard on the depositors.
Your, friend's late, isn't he?
I can wait.
Maybe he forgot. You should have tied a string around his finger.
No, lady. He already had one around his neck. Well, she went back to copping nickels, and I sat down in one of the plush chairs and waited. 10:30 came, 11 came, Benda didn't. I began to get an uneasy feeling, like a bubble dancer with a slow leak. At 11:10, I couldn't take any more waiting, so I left to head for Benda's place. Outside the bank, a thin guy with a sharp head was hawking papers. I slipped him the nickel that the blonde had given me, and he handed me a Daily News. I wanted to see what a horse named Larry R. had done at Belmont, but I didn't get beyond the first page. Benda's picture was there, right next to Governor Dewey's, only Ben wasn't running for office. They found him in his room full of bullet holes. I guess he finally got a cure for that cough. I took my car out of the lot and headed for home. I mixed myself a tall one, and I was just getting to the bottom of it when a couple of guys kicked my door open.
Regan?
Yeah.
I'm Lieutenant Anderson, homicide. This is Sergeant Pinelli.
Hi. Don't you guys believe in knocking?
My knuckles are sore. Nice stuff.
Well, help yourself. It's out in the kitchen.
Don't drink on the job.
Pinelli?
Me neither.
You boys should have told me you were coming. I'd have called some girls.
Not on the job.
Pinelli?
I got a wife. All right, Regan, find your hat.
What for?
Well, you want to look nice. We're going downtown, you and me and Pete. Right, Pete?
Right, Andy.
No, it's too hot there.
We thought of that. We'll give you a nice, cool place, won't we, Pete?
Sure will, Andy.
You got a warrant?
No, we just figured you might want to tell us why you did it.
Did what?
Tell him, Pete.
Knock off Ben Bender and burn his feet.
You're out of your mind.
Regan, we know you saw Bender last night. We know you got out of a car on the corner and walked up to his place. We know you were the last one to see him while he was still alive.
You got a witness?
Pretty one. A girl told us.
Oh, you're trying real hard, Anderson, but you haven't got anything.
If you were the last one to see him alive, you're the first one to see him dead. That's how we figured.
Did you figure on a guy named Al Spandy who drives a black coupe?
I never heard of him.
And how about a dozen other hoods who knew Bender?
Now you're trying hard, Regan.
You haven't even got a foundation.
We got the whole building.
It'll never stand up.
We'll see.
All right, you tell me why I did it.
You private eyes get folders on bank jobs.
I get them from Charles Atlas, too.
Bender was in on an $80,000 heist 8 years ago. He went up for carrying a concealed weapon, but the money was never found. You know that the Imperial Bonding Company's offering $5,000 for the recovery of that dough.
You're lying.
Don't make any dates tonight. You're not going to be available.
All right. The Lion will tell you I was working on a case when I saw Bender.
Oh, we already talked to the Lion.
Well, what did he say?
He says he hasn't seen you for 5 days.
You are listening to the story of the Man with the Key, tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Commissions are still available in the Army Nurse Corps Reserve. If you were a graduate registered nurse between the ages of 21 and 45, you may be eligible for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps section of the Regular Officers Reserve. These commissions are still available, and those who meet the high standards and qualify may elect active or inactive status. Those who request inactive status will continue with their civilian nursing duties but stand ready to serve in time of emergency. Nurses who elect active duty become commissioned officers in the regular Army. If you believe you qualify for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps Reserve, apply to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. And now back to the story of the Man with the Key and Jeff Regan, Investigator.
Well, I had about as much chance as a violin player with no chin. Anderson and Pinelli took me down and locked me in one of the rooms upstairs. They didn't ask any questions. I guess they figured they had enough answers. Oh, it was a real nice fix. A dame named Dora King takes me to a con named Ben Bender. He slips me a hot key and says, meet him in a bank at 10. I'm there on time, getting the phone number of a blonde named Claire, only Ben doesn't show. Somebody burns his feet and fogs him before he can keep the date. And then there's that black coupe registered to a question mark named Al Spandy. And then the Lion deals one from the bottom. Oh, it was a screwy picture, and I was right in the middle of the frame. Well, I spent the next 4 hours taking in some free entertainment from the drunk in the next cell.
Okay, Regan, on your feet.
Bastille Day?
You're sprung.
Well, I was getting tired of the floor show anyway.
Try and make it Saturday sometimes. That's our big night.
Or if I bring a date?
I got a phone. I got a phone, my wife.
That guy ought to be at Ciro's.
Where do you think we picked him up?
Regan, I'm running out of patience with you. How many times have I told you to keep out of trouble?
Why didn't you tell him I was working on a case?
I went to a lot of trouble to get you out.
And you went to a lot of trouble to get me in.
That was easy. Still got that key to Bender's safety deposit box?
I got it.
Tomorrow morning at 10, you're at that bank getting into the box.
You're crazy. It's in Bender's name.
I'll teach you how to spell it.
I won't do it.
Homicide might like to know you got that key. Now, you listen to me and we'll both make dough.
Where I'd be, I couldn't spend it.
The $80,000 from the bank job Bender pulled happens to be in that box, like I think it is. Imperial Bonding owes us $5,000 reward.
I don't like it.
You owe it to the company.
Now, listen, you. Bender was knocked off for this key. Whoever wants it might make another try.
Nobody knows you got it.
Well, I'll give it to you, and nobody will know you got it.
Regan, I'm giving you a chance to straighten yourself out.
That's right.
What do you mean?
I feel stiff already. Well, it was a triple play. Homicide to the Lion to the black coupe. I went home to wash off some of the jailhouse Lysol. When I walked in the front door, I had company. A gray flannel suit with a yellow tie was sitting on the edge of my bed. Both hands were full. The whiskey was mine. The gun was his. When he saw me, he set down the bottle and walked over and put the gun right against my neck. It felt cold, and I got kind of nervous, like a hula dancer in a forest fire.
Hiya, Regan. Been waiting for you.
You like my liquor?
I'm a rye drinker myself.
Well, bring your own next time.
That ain't being sociable.
You weren't invited.
How could I have been? You don't even know me.
You're Al Spandy. You drive a black coupe.
What'd I have for breakfast?
Egg, and it's all over your tie.
You look hot, Regan.
You have to hold that gun there?
Right there.
Same one you used on Bender?
The same. All right, now, gimme, Regan.
I told you, I don't have any rye.
Where's the key?
I don't use one. My door's always open.
I'm talking about that key you got from Bender.
I don't have it.
Do you hear any music?
Yeah, but I'll sit the next one out.
No, you won't. This is Amends cheat.
I'll step on your toes.
I don't mind. It's a polka, and I want to do it with you.
Oh, it was a long dance, but Spandy didn't get tired. I knew I wasn't going to last the evening out. And then I saw Dora King standing in the doorway back to Spandy. She was taking everything in like a Hoover vacuum cleaner on a dirty rug. She had a .25 in her hand, and she knew how to use it. Thanks for cutting in, lady.
I had to do it. He was killing you.
Yeah, I'll take the gun, huh?
You know I'd have to do it.
Yeah. Here. Go on, drink it.
Yes.
Now, you want to tell me all about it?
Yes. I wanted to tell you at first, but Ben wouldn't let me.
He's not around to stop you.
Do you think Spandy hurt him much before he killed him?
I wasn't there.
He was sick. He couldn't have taken much.
Why'd you tip the cops on me?
I thought you might have done it. Now I know different.
Tell that to Homicide.
I will.
You better. Spandy can't.
He's dead?
That's right.
You still don't trust me.
No, I don't.
I couldn't help myself once the gun went off. Big Ben was my father.
Yeah?
He didn't want anyone to know. All he wanted was to give me a break.
Why'd he hire me?
He was afraid.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Regan,
Yeah?
may I have the key?
I haven't got it.
You can get it.
Maybe. You know what's in that box?
I think so.
Or why don't I turn it over to the police?
That's my job. Like I told you. I'm Big Ben's daughter.
Yeah, lady. You convinced Spandy. Well, I called homicide, and Anderson and Pinelli handled it. We all wound up downtown. It didn't take them long to find out that the gun Spandy used on me was the same one that killed Big Ben. Dora gave Anderson her story. He said it would take some fixing, but he could keep her out of the papers. It was justifiable homicide. She wouldn't even be indicted, but they had to hold her overnight. Well, it was almost daylight when I pulled to a stop in front of my apartment. I was beginning to feel a little better, but it didn't last long. When I walked into my place, it looked like the L.A. Dons had been having a scrimmage. Every corner had been going over. Oh, it didn't make sense. Bender was dead, Spandy was dead, Dora King was downtown, but somebody still wanted that key. Well, I crawled into what was left of my bed and set the alarm for 9:30. I didn't sleep much. I kept seeing keys and faces and $80,000 bills. Ten o'clock the next morning, Granite 3408 was still sitting behind the same desk near the same safety deposit vault. She gave me the same look.
I waited for you to call last night.
I spent the nickel.
On a doctor?
I'd like to get into my box.
All right, Mr. Bender, sign here.
All right. There you are.
This way.
Looks like part of the new freeway.
One thing about a vault, it's quiet.
So's a tomb.
We're alone.
Yeah.
Well?
All right, Sunshine, open your eyes. My box number is 60B.
That can wait. I can't.
Easy, baby. You'll set off the alarm.
You and I can make a great team, Bender.
Now, you know my name's not Bender.
What is it?
Regan.
You and I can make a great team, Regan.
Is that what you told Al Spandy?
Why bring up a dead issue?
What's your deal?
You got Bender's key, I got the bank's key. You need both of them to open up the box.
It's good so far. Go on.
Oh, there's $80,000 there. Let's not let it go to waste.
Big Ben waited 7 years to open that box. Look what happened to him.
I waited just as long as Ben. And 7 years is harder on a girl.
How'd you work it?
Ben and I had a great plan. I was the cashier Ben heisted. Only I just gave him a bag full of paper. The real dough's in his box.
Well, that's the safest way. Keep your money in a bank.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when it cooled off, both of you go in and pick up the dough together.
That's the way it was supposed to work, only Ben was dumb enough to get himself picked up and tucked away for 7 years.
Oh, you made real good partners. Nobody trusted anybody.
I trust you.
That why you went through my place looking for the key last night?
Well, girls got to use their head. Besides, you might have been home.
Ben and Spandy are dead.
We don't have to worry about either of them. The money's still here. And we got the keys that'll open the box. Can you add that?
Yeah?
What's the answer?
About 20 years.
What do you mean?
That bonding company will see that you get the full load for grand larceny.
You wouldn't turn me in.
Don't make book on that.
You and I'd make a great team, Regan. We can't lose.
That's what USC thought. Well, I called Anderson and Pinelli, and they came out and picked her up. I rode down as far as the office with them. That wrapped it up. When I told the Lion what had happened, he was as happy as a college boy in a harem. He got on the phone right away and called up Imperial Bonding, told him to make out that reward check for 5 G's to Anthony J. Lyon. But he was real good about it. He took me for a ride in his new Nash convertible. Well, I guess he deserved it. He was really the patsy that had done all the heavy work ever since he bailed me out of jail. Because that's when I slipped Bender's key in his pocket.
Jack Webb is featured as Jeff Regan with Herb Butterfield as Anthony J. Lyon. Jeff Regan, Investigator, written by E. Jack Newman and Larry Roman, produced by Sterling Tracy, is heard each week at this time over CBS. Tonight's cast included Ken Christie, Yvonne Patey, Marvin Miller, Paul Frees, and June Martell. If you are a graduate registered nurse, please listen carefully to this important message. 29,000 nurses are needed to join the new Army Nurse Corps Officers Reserve. All nurses who receive reserve commissions will benefit from the opportunity for specialized training offered to them by the Army. Inactive reserve status will not interfere with the nurse's civilian life, but the educational opportunities offered her by the Army Medical Department will be of great advantage. For further information, drop a card to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. Original music for this program is by Dick Aron. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, only cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. Naval intelligence tells you that 2 Marines have been picked up by the shore patrol. They're reported sick. One is in critical condition. Foul play is suspected. Your job? Investigate. Here's what leading tobacco publications have had to say about king-size Chesterfield.
U.S. Tobacco Journal, Atlanta, Georgia. Chesterfield king size is going strong. One jobber reordered twice this week in addition to his regular order.
And the Chicago Weekly, Tobacco Leaf, reports more calls for Chesterfield king-size cigarettes than for most brands being marketed.
The reason for king-size Chesterfield's amazing success is this. All king-size cigarettes give you quantity, but only Chesterfield king-size gives you quantity plus quality. Premium quality.
That means Chesterfield king size contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king size cigarette. The same fine tobacco as in regular Chesterfield. Enough more of this tobacco to give you over a fifth longer smoke.
So remember, Chesterfield is the only cigarette to give you premium quality in both regular and king size.
Buy 'em either way you like 'em. Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke. Much milder.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, July 10th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Freddy. It was 7:58 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
Morning, Joe.
Hi.
Just get in?
Yeah.
Anything in the book?
I'm looking.
What's the matter? You hacked about something?
No. Why do you ask that?
Well, figures you're sore about something. What'd you do, take a sour pill? You keep this up, you won't be asked to post toothpaste ads.
Well, that's funny.
All right, Joe. Tell your Uncle Dudley. What's the matter?
Well, it's that court deal yesterday. It was miserable.
Thing you and Gaffney been working out?
Yeah, the white glove bandit came up while you were out on vacation. Spent over a month on it. Covered it from every angle.
Yeah.
Looked like we had the guy any way he turned. We had an idea how much he'd taken on each job. Lee thought he traced him on every move he made on each of the deals. We figured we really had the guy. DA's office thought so, too.
They quit him?
Yeah. Let him walk right out. 12 men, good and true. Let that cheap hoodlum walk right out on the streets a free man.
Well, that's the way it goes sometimes.
Is there Mr. Friday here?
Yes, sir. I'm Friday. Is something I can do for you?
Well, I'm Richard Houston, Naval Intelligence. Deputy Chief Brown directed me to you.
I see. Well, it's my partner, Frank Smith, Lieutenant Houston.
Hello, Smith.
Like to sit down, sir? What is it we can do for you?
Well, we got a weird one. That's why we thought your department ought to be in on it. About all I can tell you is just the skeleton of the thing. We don't know all the details. We haven't gone into it completely yet. We figured you fellas would like to be in on it from the beginning. Looks like it's going to be a police investigation.
Yes, sir.
To begin, I should go back 3 weeks ago and tell you the story as near as we've been able to reconstruct it.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Well, a couple of Marines left the base. They'd just gotten back from Korea, both on a 48-hour pass. We figured they came up here to L.A. They had a lot of back pay in their pockets. We don't know where they started, but they ended up in a cheap hotel. We got a call from the shore patrol early Monday morning. They'd gotten a complaint that the two boys were causing a disturbance in the hotel. They picked them up and found they both were in a pretty bad way. They had them shipped to the Naval Hospital down at Long Beach. By the time they got there, they were really rocky.
Well, I'm sorry, sir, but I don't quite see just how we're connected with this.
Well, I'm getting to that.
I'm sorry.
All right, I'm a little long-winded. Anyway, last night, the boys had been AWOL for over 2 weeks. They were brought into the hospital, like I said. Doctors did what they could, but it was too late to help. One of the boys died late last night. We're not sure about the other one. That's where you come in.
Sir?
They were both poisoned.
9:06 a.m. Frank and I talked with Captain Lorman, then we checked out a trip car and left for Long Beach. When we got there, we talked with the doctor in charge. He told us that it would be later that night before the boy would be completely out of danger. He said, however, that we could talk to him if we phrased our questions so that the answers could be kept fairly brief. We looked over the boy's record. His full name was Jack Wayne Walker, age 24. He'd enlisted in the Marine Corps on January 14th, 1950. He'd spent almost a year in the Far East, and his service record had been good until this time. The record of the victim, PFC Edward Monahan, was pretty much the same. The boys had both come from the same town in Arkansas. The date of their enlistment was the same. They'd served overseas the same time. At 3:48 p.m., the doctor ushered us into Jack Walker's room.
Who are you?
Police officers, Jack. We'd like to talk to you.
Well, what's it about? I haven't done anything. At least I don't think I did.
No, it's not that. We'd like to find out what happened while you were up in L.A.
Well, I killed my buddy up there. That's what happened. You heard about that, didn't you?
Yes, we did. That's what we want to talk to you about.
Poor Ed. A year in Korea. Guys taking pot shots at us. Cold, mud. And we got to come back here to get it. I didn't trust that little crumb. I knew we shouldn't have had anything to do with it.
Well, you shouldn't have trusted who, Jack?
Stubby.
You know the rest of his name?
No, just Stubby. I just can't believe it about Ed. We shoved off for L.A. going to have a last fling. Ed was getting married as soon as we got home.
All right, if you could just start right at the beginning.
Well, sure. Well, first we both had a 48-hour pass. We figured to go to L.A., like I said, for last fling. A few drinks, look at some of the lights, have a little fun. Sort of a bachelor party for Ed before he got hitched, you know. Well, we pulled into town. Let's see, I think it was Saturday morning. A couple of buddies told us about a joint up there where we could have some fun.
Yeah.
Well, we head up there, and nice little place that hour of the morning. I guess about 10:30. Well, we start in to drink. It gets pretty foggy after that. Like little parts in a jigsaw, you know. You sort of see a little bit of everything, but the whole picture ain't there.
Yeah.
Well, I remember we hung around the place for 2 days, and then it all really goes black. The next thing I remember, we woke up in some flea bag. I remember looking at the calendar on the wall. We was already a couple of days AWOL. Ed and I talked about what we should do. And then we get to trying to think up an excuse for the CO for being AWOL. And with our CO, ain't easy. He's had experts try. Ed says he'll figure out something, so we stop at the bus depot, get back to the base. On the way, we pass this bar, and Ed says, well, maybe we ought to stop and have one more for the road, so we do, and I don't remember much for a couple more days. And I remember once we stopped and watched a guy get tattooed. Ed and I got talking about it, you know, whether or not we should have it done. Finally, we figured it was kind of kid stuff, so we didn't. I remember that because it was right after we left the tattoo place, we went to this bar where we met Stubby.
Now, this is the fellow that you were talking about?
Yeah, it's him.
And you met him in a bar?
Yeah. Ed and I were sitting there trying to figure out what we was going to do, you know. We were pretty broke by this time, and then, too, we was over 2 weeks AWOL. Anyway, sliced it, we had big trouble.
Yeah.
Well, we walked into this place. It was about 4:30 or 5 in the afternoon. At least near as I can tell, that's about what time it was. The whole deal gets kind of foggy. We sat down at this bar and ordered a drink. and just sitting there minding our own business, trying to figure what we ought to do. Then this stubby joker comes up, sits down next to Ed, brings a drink with him.
He was in the bar when you came in, is that right?
Yeah, well, at least I think so. I didn't pay much attention, but he had a drink when he come up to Ed and me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, he got to talking about the Corps, and next thing we know, he's setting up the drink.
Mm-hmm.
The way we was fixed, as long as he wanted to buy, we wasn't going to argue.
Mm-hmm. Did they seem to know this stubby in the bar?
Yeah, the girl who waits on tables called him my name.
All right, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, well, this stubby kept going on about how he liked the Corps and how he'd won a whole flock of citations in Korea. Told us all about the time he'd spent in Japan. First we thought he was just throwing a bunch of coconuts at us, but we'd ask him about places in Korea and things you could only know if you was there. He'd come up with the answers all right, but even with all that, there was something that just didn't ring true with him.
Yeah.
Anyway, along about 8 or 8:30 that night, Stubby got in a thrash with the bartender, something about the price of the drink, so he suggested we go up to his place and get a jug, and drink up there. Well, I wasn't too hot for the idea, but Ed said we had nothing to lose, and we didn't have a sack for the night, and there wasn't much dough left, so we shoved off with him.
Where'd this stubby live?
A hotel down on 5th. I'll tell you how to find the place.
Same place you were picked up in?
Yeah.
We got the address then.
Oh, okay.
Well, what happened when you got Stubby's room?
Well, we cracked the jug, sat around drinking for a while, and then Ed and I went to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, the next morning we had the biggest hangovers in the entire United States and Canada, both of us. We felt miserable. Ed started beefing about the cheap booze Stubby rung in on us. That's when he tried to tout us on them pills.
What pills are those?
Oh, them things supposed to relieve hangovers.
Oh, you mean the kind they sell in drugstores?
Oh, no, not them. Stubby told us about that one. He'd come back to the States. He'd stood some duty in a hospital and said that while he was there, he got them pills. Said there was a special prescription, that they was great for head shrinking. He wanted us to try them.
So did you?
Well, no, not right away. He kept after us, though, kidding us about being big, tough Marines with a hangover. And then he took one of the pills, leastwise we thought he did. So Ed and I figured then we didn't have anything to lose.
You took one of these hangover pills then, did you?
Yeah, we both did.
Mm-hmm. What happened then?
Well, nothing right away. Stubby said it'd take a little time for it to take effect. We got up and started to get dressed. Ed and I thought we'd better get back to the base, We'd probably be in enough trouble as it was without worrying about a hangover.
Yeah. You left the room?
No, we was just getting our stuff together, and Ed took sick. Said he had awful pain in his stomach, like a cramp, We asked Stubby if the pill could have caused it. He said no. It must have been the booze.
Yeah.
Well, right about then, I was getting ready to mop up the place with this Stubby. I figured sure he'd given us a Mickey. I couldn't figure why, though. And then it hit me.
A pill, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. Real bad cramps in my stomach. I got real dizzy. The room started to go around. And we asked the Stubby to call a doctor, and that's when we knew he was really in trouble.
How's that?
Well, we knew then he was nuts off his trolley. And neither of us could walk. Ed doubled up and passed out, and I could hardly keep awake. We both just lay there on the floor. I kept asking this bum to get us a medic.
Mm-hmm. Did he?
No, he just stood there and laughed at us. Laughed like a crazy fool. He kept saying we was big, strong Marines. We should be able to take a little stomach ache out running to a doctor.
At no time did he make any attempt to get you medical help?
No, just like I said, he just stood there and laughed at us. Then he got real mean. Got crazy leer on his face. Said he'd show us, he'd fix us up good for what we'd done.
Well, what do you mean by that?
I don't know. All I thought about was getting Ed and me to a doc. About this time, I didn't much care what the little screwball did. Then it really started harping on how he's getting even with us. I tried to get at him. I'd have killed him if I could have. I tried to get at him, but I fell and went out, I guess. And that's when he said that thing about that we wouldn't be the last ones he'd get.
What?
Well, he said like this, you guys are the first, just the first. But there's going to be more, a lot more.
We continued to talk to Jack Walker. He gave us a complete description of the man he'd known as Stubby. And going over the story again with him, there were a few changes in it, but none that couldn't be accounted for by his condition. We got the address of the bar where he'd met Stubby. We checked with the doctor, and he told us that both boys had been given a powerful corrosive poison. He went on to say that it was a miracle that Jack Walker was still alive. 9:26 p.m. Frank and I drove back to Los Angeles. We checked into the office and ran the name Stubby through the moniker file in R&I, but we found nothing. We got out a local and an APB on the description and the name. The stats office started to run on the M.O. Frank and I checked the hotel on 5th Street, and the manager showed us the room, but he said that it had been cleaned and occupied since the two Marines had left. Leighton Prince went over the room, but failed to come up with anything. We took the hotel registration card and booked it in as evidence. The man had signed his name as Alton Richards. The manager gave us the same description as the one we'd gotten from the Marine. We ran the name through R&I, but we failed to come up with any new leads. There'd been no replies to the broadcast, and the staff's office had finished the run and had come up with 4 possible suspects. These were checked out, but they led us nowhere. 2:30 a.m. We checked the bar, but we found it was closed. Wednesday, 8:14 a.m. We briefed Captain Lorman on the developments, and then we went over to again check the bar where the 2 Marines were supposed to have met Stubby. The place was deserted except for one man drinking a beer. The waitress was sitting in a rear booth filing her fingernails. Frank and I went back to talk to her.
Yeah, something you want?
Well, police officers, miss. We'd like to talk to you.
Cops, huh?
Yes, ma'am. This is my partner, Joe Friday. My name's Smith.
Yes. Boy, does that sound phony.
Here's my ID card.
Yeah, it's Smith, all right. What do you want?
Do you mind if we sit down?
No, go ahead, live.
Thank you.
What's this all about?
Do you work here, Stubby?
Yeah, most of the time.
What's your name, miss?
Vera. Vera Gay.
Well, Miss Gay, were you working here around the 8th or 9th or the 10th of July?
Yeah, and you can make it Vera.
Mm-hmm. You know most people who come in here regular, do you?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Wonder if you'd look at this description and tell us if you know the man here.
WMA. What's that mean?
White male American.
Yeah, WMA. 36 years, 5'7" to 5'9", 155 pounds stubby.
Yeah?
Yeah, I know him. Comes in here all the time. Nice guy. Loud when he gets drunk. It's always nice to me, though. Tells me I should be in pictures. You know, the movies.
Yes, ma'am. Have you seen him today?
No, he hardly ever gets in before maybe noon, 1 o'clock. It just doesn't bother you, does it? Am I following my nails?
Not at all.
He does bother some people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like running a piece of chalk down a blackboard.
This Stubby, does he have any other name? Did you know it?
Yeah, Paul Rogers.
That's another one, Joe. Yeah. Now, do you want to go ahead, miss?
I went out with him a couple of times, finally gave it up. I couldn't go that route.
What's that, ma'am?
All he talked about was either him in the Marine Corps and what a big hero he was, or else how he was going to get me in pictures, you know, movies.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't come out to California to get in the movies. No, I came out to be a private secretary, only those jobs are a little hard to get, so I work here. Make enough for coffee and cakes. And when a job comes along, I'll take it. Work in a big office, nice boss. Who knows, he might even marry me. Well, that movie hokum for me, no sir, not your little Vera.
Did you work on the night of the 9th? That's the night before last?
Let's see. Yeah, I was in.
You happened to see the Stubby Rogers that night?
Well, I gotta think about that. Let's see. That was the night we had the fight just before closing. Yeah, he was in earlier.
Do you happen to notice if he was with anybody?
What's it all about? He do something you want him for?
No, we just like to talk to him.
Yeah. Well, if he did anything, we had nothing to do with it. This is a good place. We got nothing to do with the people who come in. Got the price of a drink, they get served. We don't ask for trouble.
Oh, we aren't going to cause any trouble, miss. We just want to talk to this Rogers.
Yeah, well, as long as we aren't rung into it.
Do you remember if he was with anyone?
Yeah, he was with a couple of Marines. Left with him, had a beef with Sam. He's the night bartender. Complained that the drinks were too high. I don't know what he was crying about. He's been drinking here a long time. Never had problems before.
You saw him leave with these 2 Marines then?
Yeah, 3 of them walked out. I think actually they sort of floated out. The 2 kids were really boiled.
You remember what time it was when they left?
Oh, that'd be kind of hard to tell. We were pretty busy.
It was pretty important, miss.
Yeah, let me think. I guess maybe around 8, maybe 8:30, around in there. It's just a guess, though.
Do you have any idea where this Rogers lives?
Yeah, I've been there a couple of times. Hotel on South Hill.
Mm-hmm. Can you give us the address?
Yeah, I got it in person. Yeah, I should have known he was a phony. All he'd say is how he could get me in pictures, you know, in movies.
Yes, sir.
Don't come that way. Of course, you understand I didn't come out here to get in pictures. I came out to be a private secretary. Here's the address. Here, keep it. I won't be using it anymore.
All right, thank you, Miss Kay. Here's our card. If you think of anything more you think we ought to know, we'd appreciate a call from you.
Yeah, thanks.
Sure appreciate your help.
Well, you never know. Maybe I'll need your help sometime. Matter of fact, you might be able to lend me a hand.
What's that, miss?
You know any picture producers? You know, movies?
Frank called the name Paul Rogers into the office, and a supplementary broadcast and an APB were gotten out. A stakeout was arranged on the bar. We went back to the city hall, and a check through R&I on the name Paul Rogers netted us nothing. We drove over to the hotel on South Hill. The manager told us that Rogers was not in his room. He went on to say that Rogers had not been using his room regularly for the past week or so, but that he had been in a couple of days before in the company of a soldier, and that as far as he knew, the soldier was still in. In the company of the manager, Frank and I went upstairs. The manager unlocked the door, and we went in. A minute, Frank. There's someone in bed.
Yeah.
Come on, you.
How about it?
Just a minute.
How about it, Joe?
I don't know. He's dead.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
And now a report every smoker should hear.
Nose, throat, and accessory organs not adversely affected by smoking Chesterfields. First such report published about any cigarette.
A responsible consulting organization reports a study by a competent medical specialist and staff on the effects of smoking Chesterfield. For 6 months, a group of men and women smoked only Chesterfield, 10 to 40 a day, their normal amount. 45% of the group have smoked Chesterfields from 1 to 30 years, for an average of 10 years each. At the beginning and end of the 6 months, each smoker was given a thorough examination, including x-rays, and covering the sinuses, nose, ears, and throat. After these examinations, the medical specialist stated,
"It is my opinion that the ears, nose, throat, and accessory organs of all participating subjects examined by me were not adversely affected in the 6-month period by smoking the cigarettes provided."
Remember this report, and buy much milder Chesterfield, regular or king size.
Wednesday, July 11th, 12:40 p.m. We called the coroner's office, then we got in touch with the crime lab and the photographers. After the pictures had been taken, the body was removed. The victim was a soldier in his mid-30s. On the nightstand beside the bed, we found an empty pill bottle and a suicide note. The note was booked as evidence and turned over to Don Meyer for comparison with the handwriting taken from the hotel registration card that Rogers had signed. The men from Leighton Prince went over the place thoroughly. They came up with several classifiable prints. Fingerprints found on the bottle belonged to the victim. There were several other sets in the room which were not identified. The crime lab went over the room, and then they went back to the lab to make their analysis. All officers in the area were alerted to be on the lookout for Rogers. Frank and I talked to the manager of the hotel, a Henry Corey. He told us that Rogers had lived in the hotel for the past 4.5 months. He said that Rogers was quiet, kept pretty much to himself, and for the most part was a good tenant. He said that on several occasions Rogers had gotten behind in his rent, but that he'd always managed to come up with the money. The manager told us that in the conversations he'd had with Rogers, the main topic had been the Marine Corps and the suspect's record overseas. Rogers presented himself as an armchair general, constantly calling down the way the situation was being handled. He would refer to his own exploits, but when questioned about his leaving the service, he became vague and evasive. Additional handwriting samples were obtained and sent to Meyer. The manager told us that the latest victim had come in with Rogers the night before, and that at the time he'd been pretty drunk. They'd gone upstairs, and when Rogers had left in the morning, the manager had assumed that the soldier had gone the night before. 3:20 p.m. Frank and I went back to relieve the stakeout at the bar.
Back again?
Yes, Miss Gay.
Sit down.
Thank you.
It seems like every time I see you, I'm doing something with my nails. This morning filing them, now I'm filing them again. I'm going to put polish on them after this. I guess you think I'm pretty vain.
No, not at all, miss.
A new color called Frosted Rose. And pretty? Kind of iridescent, what the label says. To sprinkle your nails with stardust.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a pretty bottle, too. They sure put things up nice nowadays. Uh-oh, here comes your boy.
That's Rogers. Yeah.
Yes, Stubby, well, it be.
Where been, Phil?
How's it going, Stubby?
Same old six as before.
Yeah, pretty dull.
Yeah, you're doing a great business.
It's early yet. Here's your drink. It'll be 4 bits.
There you go. All right, thanks, good.
All right, Frank, let's go.
No trouble now.
Not unless he makes it.
Hi, fellas. Something you want?
You Paul Rogers?
Yeah, who are you?
Police officers. We'd like to talk to you.
I don't want any trouble in here.
No, there's not going to be any trouble.
Always fights. Why is it everybody comes into a bar and starts fights? Ain't there someplace else to be?
All right, come on, Rogers.
What for? You got nothing to hold me in.
We'll talk to you about that, too.
Well, let me finish my drink.
No, afraid not. Let's go now.
Look, I said I was going to finish my drink. Don't lean.
Let's can it, mister, and go.
I said I was going to finish my drink, though.
All right, mister, on your feet. Nothing on him. Take him to the office.
Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Sure appreciate it.
Well, what's that?
Thought for a minute there you were going to have a fight.
We took the suspect back to the city hall, then we checked the name through the Marine base in San Diego. Lieutenant Richard Houston called back to say that Rogers had received a court-martial and a dishonorable discharge in January of that year. He'd been tried by a military court on a charge of stealing alcohol from the hospital pharmacy and selling it to the patients in the hospital. We stopped in handwriting analysis, and Don Meyer took an exemplar of the suspect's writing. When we checked by the office, there was a message from Sergeants Bill Cummings and Harry Hansen stating that their investigation had shown that the death of the soldier in Rogers' room was suicide beyond any doubt. 7:46 p.m. Frank and I talked to the suspect in the interrogation room.
Terrible thing treating a veteran like
All
this.
right, let's save it, Rogers. There's a few questions we'd like some answers to.
I got nothing to hide.
All right, what were the conditions of your discharge from the Marine Corps?
What do you mean?
Did you get an honorable discharge or a dishonorable discharge?
I had a little trouble. Lousy officers never did understand what the problems of the enlisted man were.
What do you do for a living, Rogers?
I work.
Where?
Around.
You have a steady job?
What do you mean steady?
One you've held for, say, more than 6 months?
Haven't been out of the service that long.
Where'd you serve in the Corps?
Japan, Korea.
How long are you there?
About 4 or 5 months.
Why'd you come back?
I was wounded.
How?
What do you mean, how?
Just that. How were you wounded?
Well, I wasn't exactly wounded. I had my feet frostbit.
Mm-hmm. According to this here, you went AWOL and got lost. When they found you, your feet were frozen. Is that right?
What's that you got?
Your record in the Corps.
You got a lot of nerve digging into that. Just what do you got me in here for anyway? I done nothing that puts me in line for this kind of treatment.
You know a couple of Marines named Ed Monahan and Jack Walker?
Monahan? Walker? No, I don't think I know.
You ever register in a hotel on 5th Street?
No, I live over on Hill.
You know a soldier named Marty Wilton?
What's he got to do with it?
We found him dead in your room.
You're cracking up.
Yeah, sure, Rogers. We just dreamed we found that body.
Nothing to do with him. Met him in a bar. He said he wasn't feeling too good. Said he didn't have a place to sleep. I let him have my room. Something wrong in that? Be a little kind, and now even that gets you in trouble.
You sure you don't know a Marine named Ed Monahan?
Positive.
There's something wrong, Rogers. Girl at the bar says she saw you leave the place with 2 Marines. They could have been Monahan and Walker.
Well, maybe I know them. I might and still not know their names.
You didn't take them up to a room you'd rented in a hotel on 5th Street?
No, I told you once I never lived on 5th.
Checked with our handwriting man. He says your writing matches some samples we found on the hotel register.
Maybe I write like somebody else.
No, we don't think so, mister. How about Jack Walker? Maybe you know him, you just didn't remember him.
No, I keep telling you, I don't know them.
Vera says you do.
Well, she's lying.
Is she?
Sure she is. She's trying to save her own skin.
From what?
She doesn't want to stand a rap for murder, can't you see?
Yeah, go ahead, Roger.
I'm saying nothing until I see my lawyer.
You sure you don't want to tell us why you did it?
I got nothing to say.
Makes it tough, Roger.
What do you mean?
Just makes it rough, that's all. Looks like you're going to have to stand a murder rap.
Yeah?
That's the way it looks.
Well, I didn't mean it. I didn't. I just wanted to get even, that's all. Just get even.
For what, Roger?
For the way the Corps treated me. Kicked me out. I didn't do anything really wrong. Copped a little alcohol, that's all. No harm done.
They look at it a little different.
Yeah, that's the trouble. Stinking brass, they're all alike. They don't care what happens to us, the guys in the field. I tried to get a job. I looked everywhere. I just didn't fit. Seemed like everywhere I went, I got into trouble. I wanted like it was when I first went in. Like it was after boot camp. Walking down the street, girls looking at you, a Marine, a big man. They took that away from me. They wouldn't let me enlist again. I tried, but they wouldn't let me. You can understand what that'd do to a guy, can't you?
I don't know.
Well, it tore me apart. Right then, I decided to get even with all the stinking gyrenes in the world. They wouldn't let me in, and I hated them.
Yeah. Remember what happened the day you gave the 2 boys the pills, do you?
Sure, remember all of it. Oh, they cried for a medic. They weren't big men then. No, sir, they sure weren't.
All right, Rogers, we'll get a stenographer.
Tell me, Sergeant.
Yeah.
Did I get both of them?
No, Walker's going to be all right.
He the young one?
That's right.
A real nice kid. Lucky, too.
Is that right?
Yeah. No worries. Really got it made. Uniform, that's what does it. Uniform makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, well, don't worry. You'll get one.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On November 13th, trial was held in Department 87, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. In modern crime detection, the working detective depends on scientific research. He relies on the services of trained experts in ballistics, communications, fingerprints, to name just a few. He's interested only in facts. And as a smoker, you should be interested only in facts. That's why the report you heard earlier is so important to you. Nose, throat, and accessory organs not adversely affected by smoking Chesterfield. First such report ever published about any cigarette. Remember it. And next time, buy Chesterfield. Regular or king size, premium quality Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke.
Paul M. Rogers was tried and convicted on 1 count of murder in the first degree. He was sentenced to life imprisonment in the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California. just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Virginia Gregg, Jack Crucian. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Either way you like them, regular or king size, Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke. Much milder Chesterfield.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Tonight, it's Barry Craig, confidential investigator on NBC.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, only cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. You get a call that a bank has been robbed. From the M.O., you know the job was done by a professional. He's made good his escape. Your job? Get him. Here's what leading tobacco publications have had to say about regular and king-size Chesterfield.
U.S. Tobacco Journal, Boston, Massachusetts. Chesterfield cigarettes in the new king size is still maintaining large turnovers in this area. Dealers report that sales continue to climb on this size, and it seems that volume on the regular size has climbed to new heights with its new big brother.
And Tobacco Leaf reports from Chicago. More calls for Chesterfield king-size cigarettes than for most brands being marketed.
The reason for king-size Chesterfield's amazing success is this. All king-size cigarettes give you quantity, but only Chesterfield king-size gives you quantity plus quality, premium quality.
That means Chesterfield king-size contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king-size cigarette. The same fine tobacco as in regular Chesterfield. Enough more of this tobacco to give you more than a fifth longer smoke.
So remember, Chesterfield is the only cigarette to give you premium quality in both regular and king size.
Buy 'em either way you like 'em. Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke. Much milder.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, January 21st. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Freddy. It was 2:56 p.m. when I got to room 27A. Robbery.
Joe?
Yeah.
Sure cold out.
Yeah, paper says you'd warm up a little before the end of the week.
Well, I hope so.
How'd your weekend go?
Don't bring it up.
What happened?
At my house, there's only one thing that could happen.
What do you mean?
My brother-in-law, Armand. All the time, he just sits around the house, sits there and reads those detective magazines.
Doesn't he work?
If he's ever held a job, he's kept it a secret. Just moves around between the relatives. This year it's Faye's turn.
He just sits around all day, huh?
Yeah. Reads those detective magazines. Always sending for those books that are sent in the plain wrappers. You know, the ones that tell you how you can have a business in your own home. Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, this time he really did it. He sent for one that tells you how to go into the house cleaning business. I thought at first it might be a pretty good deal. You know, if it worked out, he could give Fay a hand with the house. Well, Saturday morning, the book gets to the house with all the formulas and instructions for making the cleaners for the rugs and the upholstery. Yeah. First off, he borrows $5 from me to buy the stuff to mix the formulas. Then he goes to the kitchen and takes all of Fay's good pans to mix up the goop in, and it smells terrible. All those bleaches and soaps. I'm sitting in the front room watching television. All in all, I'm pretty comfortable. He comes in, he says the room is filthy, and he's going to clean it. Tells me to get out of the room, and that he's going to surprise all of us. Yeah. Well, he did. Fay and I took the kid down to the barber's to have her haircut, did a little shopping for the weekend. You should have seen the house when we got back, Joe. Just miserable. What had he done? First off, he wasn't there. Left a note on the kitchen table telling us that he was out for a walk. I kind of figured what had happened, so Fay and me walked into the living room. Joe, you wouldn't believe it. Is that so? Fay almost fainted. Pretty awful, huh? Worse than that. The room was beautiful. Everything in it was clean as a whistle. All spotless. Curtains, carpet, the upholstery, even the tables had been waxed. Well, what's wrong with that? Sounds to me like a pretty good deal. Fay. Well, what about her? Right away, she starts climbing all over me, reads me off for being so mean to him. Says all about how I should be ashamed of myself, said that I should have thought of the house cleaning gimmick myself. I should have given him a hand in cleaning up the place, and that the next day off, we have to do the whole house. I tell you, Joe, no matter what the guy does, it always ends up making me look bad. Well, you say you've only got this year with him, huh? Yeah. Then he goes to Fay's sister in Piedmont. I'll sure be glad when that time comes. Yeah, don't blame me. Hot shot, I'll get it. ADT 211, bank robbery in progress. It took us a little over 4 minutes to get to the bank at the corner of Lebanon and Broadway. In that time, the bandit had completed the robbery and made good his escape. A radio car had arrived at the scene, and the officers had gotten a description of the car and of the bandit. They'd called the information into communications, and a broadcast was gotten out to all cars in the vicinity to be on the alert for the holdup man. 2:40 p.m., Frank and I arrived at the bank. Back there. Bank guard. Yeah.
I couldn't help it. What do you want me to do? Try to stop him, have him shoot that gun off? He'd have killed half the people in here.
I'm not saying that you should have actually tried to stop him. All I'm saying is that there is something that you should have done. You just stood there and looked at it. You could see the gun. There must have been something you could do.
I beg your pardon, sir.
You get away. You're probably in cahoots with the robber. You probably came back to get the rest of the money. Well, Gibson, don't just stand there. Stop these men.
We're police officers, sir.
You see, Gibson, they're police officers. Do you have a badge or something? After this, I don't think I'll trust anyone again.
Yes, sir. Here's our identification.
Oh, yes, Officer Friday.
This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do?
Hi.
I suppose you want to ask me a lot of questions?
Well, there are some things we'd like to know, sir.
You'd like to talk in my office, I guess. It'll be more quiet there.
That'll be fine.
Would it be all right if Gibson came along? I'd like to have him see how a couple of real detectives work.
Yes, sir. I think it'll be all right.
Fine. Back this way. Oh, Officer Friday, this is Gibson, the bank guard, and I use the term loosely. This is Mr. Jones.
That's Smith, sir. Frank Smith.
Oh, yes, Smith. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Just sit down any place.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Now, you listen good, Gibson.
Yes, sir. Mr. Allen, you were the victim, were you?
I certainly was. It was just 3 o'clock. Gibson was just putting up the chain across the door, you know, to keep people out.
Yes, sir.
Gibson was out there. I was in here in my office. Go ahead, Gibson. Tell the officers about it.
Yes, sir. Well, he parked his car right in front of the bank, and when he pulled up, I thought it was a customer trying to get in before the bank closed. I held the chain for him.
That was nice of you.
What happened then, Mr. Gibson?
As soon as he got to the doorway, I saw the shotgun. He had it kind of under his coat, you know. I tried to stop him, but he had the gun pointed right at me. He said that if I made a move, he'd as soon shoot me as look at me.
Mm-hmm. You sure it was a shotgun, are you?
Yes, sir. I could tell it was a 12 gauge. It was sawed off. Told me to get over in that little alcove near the entrance to our escrow department.
Mm-hmm.
I did. And he told me to hand over my gun. I started to get it out of the holster, and I thought maybe I'd have a chance to surprise him, but he must have known what I was planning.
Why do you say that?
He told me to face him in the corner, then he took the gun out of the holster.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did what he told me.
What happened then?
He asked me where the manager was. I pointed out his office.
Well, to this time, did any of the people in the bank have any idea what was going on?
No, sir. The way he acted, he knew what he was doing. Right off, I knew there wasn't anything I could do. Kept thinking about the people in the bank. That shotgun didn't want anyone to get hurt.
The only bright thing you did.
If you want to go on, what happened then?
Well, like I said, he asked where the manager's office was. I showed him, and he told me he wanted me to go back there with him.
Uh-huh.
We walked back there. He put the shotgun under his coat, and by some miracle, nobody saw it.
That's where he brought me into the picture. He just walked in, told me it was a stick-up. He had this little leather bag, the kind a doctor uses. He opened it up, told me to walk in front of him. He made me carry the bag. Kept the gun at my back all the time. I could feel it. Made me walk down the row of windows, the ones into the teller's boxes. Each one, he made me stop and ask the tellers for the money.
Did he touch anything at all, do you remember?
No, he wore gloves all the time. He was real careful, wouldn't touch anything. After I put the money into the bag, he'd tell each one of them that if they made a sound, he'd kill me, then come back and kill them, too. It was terrible. Almost scared me to death.
Well, who was it that turned in the alarm here?
Walter, the cleanup man, sir. He was in the back of the bank, and he came out of the vice president's office. He saw the robber, and then he sneaked back into the room and called you. The bandit just barely got out of the place when the police car pulled up.
We gave the other officers a description of the car and the bandit.
Yes, sir. We heard the broadcast. All the cars in the area have been alerted.
I wonder if I could have a drink of water, officer. I'm so nervous. I'm still not over it. My stomach's going to be grinding for a month.
You're a member of the Federal Reserve here, aren't you?
Oh, yes. Well, then the Federal Bureau of Investigation will be in on it, too.
Yes, sir.
Water's right over here. I keep it in the office for my pills. I have ulcers, you know.
Yes, sir.
Would you like a drink?
No, sir. No, thank you. Well, what happened after the man finished taking the money from the cages?
He walked out of the front of the place and got in his car. By that time, I could hear the sirens of the police car coming. He just left. On the way out, he said if we told him anything about him, he'd come back and kill us.
Yes, he looked right at me when he said it. You've got to give me some sort of protection. I'm not going to make a sitting duck of myself.
We'll take care of that, sir. Could you give us a description of the man, sir?
I've already given it to the two officers who are here.
Well, we know, sir, but if you wouldn't mind.
Of course not.
How tall would you say he was?
Oh, about 5'11", maybe 6 feet.
How old would you say he was?
30, 35, round in there.
How much do you think he weighed?
Oh, about 160, maybe more. I'm not very good at guessing weights.
How about his coloring? Was he dark or light?
Light. He had real light blonde hair. His eyebrows were almost invisible. They were so light that you almost couldn't see them at all. Same with his eyelashes.
How about his clothes?
Beg your pardon?
His clothes, what was he wearing?
Well, he had on a blue shirt.
No, I'm sorry, sir. I think it was a white shirt.
Was it? No, I'm sure it was blue. I remember because he was wearing a brown coat. I thought that he certainly didn't have very good taste, what with wearing a blue shirt and a brown coat. No, Gibson, no. The shirt was blue. No tie. Brown coat and black loafer shoes. I remember these because they were the only thing about him that looked good. They looked like those ones that are advertised in the magazines, you know, Skegums or something like that. Black.
Was there anything unusual about him?
I beg pardon?
Anything unusual about him? Anything that might cause you to remember him, know him if you saw him again?
Well, there were the bandages.
What's that, sir?
When he came in, he had bandages on his face. One over his right eyebrow, another on his chin, right here, sort of on the throat.
You mean regular bandages?
No, sir. They were those adhesive kind, you know, with the gauze and the tape all together.
Oh, yeah. And you say he had one over the right eyebrow and one on his chin?
Yes, sir.
I still think it was a white shirt.
I said it was blue. Are you trying to say that I don't know blue when I see it?
No, sir. I just think that you might have made a mistake in all the excitement.
Officer.
Yes, sir?
It was a blue shirt.
All right, sir. How about his car, the one he got away in?
It was parked right out in front.
Did you see it?
Certainly I saw it. I was standing right in the door when he drove away.
Well, can you describe the car for us?
Yes, like I told the other officers, it was a late model Buick, dark blue, a coupe.
I'm sorry, sir, but it was a green Ford sedan.
Well, let's see if we can't let Mr. Allen tell his story, Mr. Gibson. We'll check it with you when we finish with him, all right?
I don't know what you're trying to prove with these officers. After the way you handled the affair, there's no use trying to impress them with your prowess as a detective. It was a dark blue Buick coupe.
Now, anything unusual about the car that you could see? Any dented fenders, stickers, windshield emblems, anything like that, would you remember?
No, I didn't notice anything special.
No, sir. It looked pretty new as far as I could tell.
All right, fine. Well, you two gentlemen have helped us a lot here. There are some questions we'd like to ask the other people in the bank.
Oh, yes, that's what the other officers said. I told them all to stay. You like to talk to them now?
Yes, sir.
Fine, I'll send them in here to you.
No, we can talk to them out there, sir. Be all right.
Oh, fine. Gibson, maybe you can help them.
Officer.
Yes, Gibson.
I didn't want to tell you while we were in there. He'd probably make some remark. I didn't even tell the other officers. It's about the license number of the bandit's car.
Did you get it?
Well, not all of it, sir. Just the first 3 numbers.
The bank guard went on to explain that in the confusion he had failed to give the information about the license number to the other officers. We continued to talk to him. He told us that the bandit had tied a cloth over the rear license plate, and that as he drove away from the scene, a corner of the cloth had come loose, and he was able to see the first 3 numbers of the plate. We called this information into communications, and a supplemental broadcast was gotten out. In company with agents from the FBI, we talked to the rest of the employees in the bank. From them, we got a fairly good description of the holdup man and of his car. They agreed that it was a late model dark Ford sedan. With FBI agent Tom Ashford, Frank and I checked by the office and asked the stats office to make a run on the M.O. We checked the oddity file on R&I on the possibility that the tape might have been used to cover scars or other marks that would make identification easier. 9:46 p.m. We stopped and got some sandwiches and coffee, and then we went to the DMV offices.
Hi, Joe.
George, you know Frank.
Yeah, hi.
How's it going, George? This is Tom Ashford, agent from the FBI. He's working with us on this thing.
Oh, hi. Glad to know you.
Yeah, same here.
Where do we find the files here, George?
Oh, what's the number again?
1U5. That's all we have.
Not much.
Oh, you'll find the files to that number in these drawers here. You know what kind of car it is?
Yeah, Ford sedan, late model. We're not sure what year.
Uh-huh. Well, go to it. I don't envy you.
Yeah, 9,999 possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it for the night. I think I'll shove off. Anything you guys need, there'll be somebody here. You can give me a call. I'll leave my home number on the desk.
Right, thanks a lot. Good night, George.
Good night. Hope you find it before I get back.
Yeah.
So do we.
Well, let's get to it.
Right.
Let's see. 1U5. It took us the next 8 hours to go through the almost 10,000 license registrations. Each file card had to be checked for a similarity of make and model. Each automobile in the Los Angeles area was listed, and then each one in the entire state. Each of them had to be checked out. 6:02 a.m., Tuesday, January 22nd. We finished checking the files.
That does it. I didn't know there were so many cars in California, let alone that many with a license that begins with 1U5 in the Los Angeles area.
What's the total, Joe? How's it look? Well, we've got a place to start here. 302 names. 6:30 a.m., we checked back into the office, and then we went home to get a couple of hours' sleep. At 8:30 a.m., Frank, Tom, and I met in the robbery office. Captain Didion had assigned 4 other teams of men to work with us. The FBI had also assigned additional agents. The list of possibles was divided up, and we began to check them out. We spent 3 days on it. In each instance, we didn't talk to the person involved directly, but to their neighbors. We didn't explain what it was that we were after, merely that we were conducting an investigation. We ran into the usual false leads, the usual petty jealousies, and the neighborhood feuds. It all served to slow us down and make the job more difficult. There'd been no replies to the local or the APB that we'd gotten out on the car or the bandits. The stats office had come up with 2 possibles on the M.O. These were both checked out, but led us nowhere. We went back to checking out the license plate numbers. January 28th. The names on our list were down to 7. The next one was a Mr. Ivan Q. Field. We rang the bell to the house next door and waited.
Yes?
Sorry to bother you, ma'am. Police officers, wonder if we could talk to you.
Police? Well, what's it about? I haven't done anything.
No, ma'am. We'd just like to ask you a couple of questions about your next-door neighbor, Mr. Field.
If I should have known. I thought a couple of times about calling you about him myself. Miserable man.
I wonder if we could come in, ma'am. Might be better than talking on the porch.
You just bet you can. Come right in. I'll tell you what you want to know.
Thank you very much.
What do you want him for? What's he done?
Well, we're just conducting an investigation, ma'am. A few things we'd like to know about Mr. Field.
Well, you don't have to play cozy with me. I know what kind of people they are. Can't understand it either.
Ma'am?
I said I couldn't understand it. His brother's so nice, a real gentleman. Seems hard to believe that they'd even be related, let alone be brothers. Nothing but trouble since he and his wife moved in.
You mean it's not their house?
Oh, of course not. Don't think either one of them could afford the rent on a one-room apartment, let alone a house.
Would you know if they have a car?
No, not them. Like I said, I don't think he's ever worked. Just lives off his brother. His brother has a car. It's real nice.
What kind of a car is it, ma'am? Do you know?
Yes, it's a Ford.
Do you know what model?
Model?
Yes, ma'am. Is it a coupe or a sedan?
Oh, sedan. Real nice. Sort of a dark green. Only I guess it really isn't dark. Then it isn't light, really. Just green. Pretty, though.
Yes, ma'am. Do you know if Mr. Field is in right now?
Yes, I think so. I saw him out in the backyard a couple of hours ago, him and his wife. She was prancing around in one of them skimpy little sunsuits. Terrible. No decency at all. I tell you, officer, neither one of them's any good.
Do you know what Mr. Field does for a living?
Oh, you mean does he work?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, no. At least I've never seen any indication that he does. All he does is just sit around the yard and throw rocks at my cat. It's terrible. That's what I was going to call you about. Isn't there a law or something about throwing things at poor dumb animals?
Yes, ma'am.
Of course, cats aren't really dumb. Lots of times I think they're a lot smarter than some people I know.
I wonder if you could describe Ivan Field for us, ma'am.
Oh, sure. He's kind of a little man, not very big.
About how tall, ma'am?
Oh, maybe 5'7".
How about his coloring?
You mean his hair?
Yes, ma'am.
Dark, very dark.
It lets us out.
It looks that way. Well, thank you very much, ma'am. Sorry to cause you all this trouble.
Oh, no trouble at all. Are you going to arrest him now?
No, ma'am.
Well, why not? What about the rocks and my cat?
Well, I think the SPCA are the people you want to talk to on that.
Well, all right. But I tell you right now, Mr. Field isn't going to like it. He likes my cat. He isn't going to like the idea at all when he hears about it. Just wait until he gets home. I'll tell him about how his brother's been acting.
Oh, just a minute, ma'am.
Yes?
You mean that the man living next door isn't Ivan Field?
No, I didn't say it was. It's his brother, Harry.
Brother?
What's the matter with you, young man? Don't you hear well? Everything I say, you ask me to repeat.
I don't mean to, ma'am. Just that I want to be sure of what you say.
What's going on here? First you ask me a lot of questions about Mr. Field, and then I tell you that he isn't home. He and his wife went back east for the holidays. They haven't come back yet. While he was gone, he said that his brother could use the house. I thought at first it would be nice. Then I found out. Harry is nothing like his brother, nothing at all.
I wonder if you could describe him for us.
My, you want to know about everybody, don't you?
Well, we'd just like a description of Harry Field, ma'am, that's all.
Well, he's taller than Ivan. Harry must be close to 6 feet. Doesn't look anything like Ivan in any other way. Ivan's dark and Harry's light. His hair almost doesn't have any color. He's real blonde.
How long ago did they move in?
Well, now, let me see. Elizabeth, that's my Persian cat. Well, Elizabeth had her last litter in December. December the 12th. Harry and his wife moved in the next morning. I remember that because I was up most of the night with Elizabeth. She didn't need me. Awfully independent. But it was the morning that they moved in. Oh, I remember it well. Elizabeth had 6 little kittens. It was December the 13th when Harry moved in.
And they've been using Ivan Field's car?
Oh, my, yes. Hardly a day goes by but what they don't drive it somewhere.
I wonder if we could use your phone, ma'am.
Oh, sure. It's on the table there in the hall.
Thanks. I'll check the name through R&I. Okay. Would you happen to know if this Harry Field has any marks or scars on him?
Well, now, let me see. I think so. Seems to me that I saw him and his wife out in the backyard one day. He was wearing swimming trunks, and she was in one of those sun suits I told you about. It's graceful.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it seems to me that he had a scar on his leg. Yes, just above the knee. I think it was the right leg.
No, what I meant, ma'am, was does he have any marks on his face, on his forehead, or on his chin?
No marks. Oh, wait a minute. The other day I noticed he had a cut over his right eyebrow. Looked like he'd been in a fight. Probably a drunken brawl.
Joe? Yeah, anything? Talked to Cunningham. He checked the name. Looks like it might be the same one.
What's that?
They paroled a Harry Q. Field from San Quentin. Description checks out.
When did they parole him?
December 10th last year. Did a term for robbery.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Chesterfield was first to name its ingredients. Ingredients that give you the best possible smoke. Now, Chesterfield is first to give you scientific facts in support of smoking.
Nose, throat, and accessory organs not adversely affected by smoking Chesterfields. First such report published about any cigarette.
A responsible consulting organization reports a study by a competent medical specialist and staff on the effects of smoking Chesterfields. For 6 months, a group of men and women smoked only Chesterfield. 10 to 40 a day, their normal amount. 45% of the group have smoked Chesterfields from 1 to 30 years, for an average of 10 years each. At the beginning and end of the 6 months, each smoker was given a thorough examination, including x-rays, and covering the sinuses, nose, ears, and throat. After these examinations, the medical specialist stated,
"It is my opinion that the ears, nose, throat, and accessory organs of all participating subjects examined by me were not adversely affected in the 6 months period by smoking the cigarettes provided."
Remember this report, and buy Chesterfields either way you like them, regular or king size. Premium quality Chesterfields, and much milder.
January 28th, 4:30 p.m. We called the office and told them of the latest developments. Tom Ashford called the local FBI office and arrangements were made to take Harry Field and his wife into custody. A further check on him was made through R&I, and we found that his record listed 4 arrests for armed robbery with only 1 conviction. He spent 4.5 years in San Quentin before he'd gotten his parole. The name of his brother was also checked. He had no previous record. The car in Field's driveway matched the one used by the bandit. 5:12 p.m. The men from robbery arrived, and the plan for taking Field was formulated. The working detective knows that to successfully apprehend an armed and dangerous suspect, he must act quickly and employ the one big advantage on his side, the element of surprise. By moving rapidly before the suspect becomes aware of any attempt to apprehend him, the officer, in many cases, can not only avoid bloodshed, but can often have a better chance of preserving any and all physical evidence necessary to prosecute the suspect. 5:36 p.m. We were ready to move in.
All set, Joe. The men are on back.
Good. No indication he knows what's up. The lights are still on. Let's hope it stays that way.
Officer? Mr. Friday?
The Jenkins woman.
Yeah.
Officer!
Ma'am, would you mind keeping your voice down? We don't want Field to know we're here.
Well, I'm not talking loud, but there's something I want you to know.
Well, it'd be better if you went back into your house, ma'am. Just stay there till this is over, will you?
That's sort of what I want to tell you about.
Ma'am?
Well, I got to thinking, and I figured maybe Harry wasn't too bad a sort after all.
We don't want to be rude here, but I think it'd be better if you go back in your house. All this talking's liable to let him know that we're here.
But that's just it. I don't want anybody hurt, so I called him.
What?
I called him. Told him he didn't have a chance to give himself up.
Unknowingly, Mrs. Jenkins had made it impossible to take the suspect without violence. By warning him, she had put him on the alert. We had no alternative now but to apprehend him as best we could. 5:40 p.m.
Caleb and Crowley are covering the back. Other fellows are covering the side windows.
All right, let's go.
What do you want?
Open up. Come on, Field. We want to talk to you.
Yeah, I'll be there in a minute. Take it easy.
Open up, Field. Police officers.
All right, I'll be there in a minute.
Let's go. He's stalling. All right. Lock. Come on, let's hit it.
All right.
All right, stand still,
What are you
mister.
doing? The fireplace, Joe.
I'll get it.
Guys on parole. You cops won't leave him alone. I'm straight.
Bag's full of money, Joe. Partially burned.
My money, I could do what I want with it.
You bet you can. Hands behind you. Come on.
I'll shake him down.
All right. He's clean, Joe.
You got him, huh?
Yeah, we got part of the loot, too. He's trying to burn it.
Crowley and I'll shake the rest of the house.
Right, Mac. All right, how about it, Field? We got the money, people who can identify you. A car parked in the driveway fits the description. You've been through this before. You got out of queue on December 10th. You pulled this job on January 21st. Is that right?
Like I said, I fell once. I did my time.
Joe?
Yeah, Mac.
Found his wife hiding in the back bedroom. Found a sawed-off shotgun.
All right, let's get him out of here.
Say, Frank?
Yeah?
Message came in for you before I left the office. Forgot about it.
Say who it was from?
No, I didn't leave a name. Here's a number. Why don't you phone right away?
I'll call it now.
We can take Field in.
Good, Mac. Thanks. We'll be right behind you. We want to talk to his wife anyway.
Okay, Field, let's go.
All right, come on, Frank. Come on. Hollywood 24709. I don't know anybody with that number. Well, a simple way to find out is to call him. It's kind of late. Well, go ahead and call him anyway. Yeah, here's a phone.
I'll check with you later, Joe. Frank.
Right, Tom. We'll check.
Bye, Tom.
Oh, come on, let's go.
I want to use the phone.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
You got a dime?
Just a minute. Yeah.
I'll leave it for the call. Wonder who it is. Hello. What place is this? Oh. Well, this is Frank Smith. Were you looking for me? Yeah. Yeah, he does. Oh. Yeah, that's the right address. Yeah. I should have known.
Well, what's that?
Call from the Murphy House Cleaning Company.
What do they want?
My brother-in-law. Called them in to clean up our house.
Yeah, what about it?
Now they want to know where to send the bill.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On February 19th, trial was held in federal court, City of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Before a case goes to trial, the working detective has to get all the evidence. He interviews witnesses, takes statements, checks and rechecks. He tries to get all the facts. As a smoker, you too should be interested in facts. You should know Chesterfield is first to give you scientific data in support of smoking. Nose, throat, and accessory organs not adversely affected by smoking Chesterfield. The first such report ever published about any cigarette. Remember that. And next time, buy Chesterfield. Get 'em regular or king size. You'll find premium quality Chesterfields give you the best possible smoke.
Harry Q. Field was tried and convicted of violation of the federal bank robbery statute. He received a sentence of 20 years in a federal penitentiary, McNeil Island, Washington. The investigation showed his wife, Dora Field, was not implicated in any way in the robbery. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Whit Connor, Jack Crucian. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Either way you like them, regular or king size, Chesterfield gives you the best possible smoke. Much milder Chesterfield.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Tonight it's Barry Craig, confidential investigator on NBC.